Chapter 3022. Louis did not trust the old man completely. Naturally, he didn't sell the sovereign weapon either. He only had one sovereign weapon, and he got it from killing enemies. He didn't have time to refine a sovereign weapon or nurture it. Though he didn't need it, it was better to keep it. He sold some elixirs for more than 200 celestial stones. He decided to go into the city and gather some information. After retrieving the celestial stones, Jiang Yi walked down the city and handed over 100 celestial stones. The soldier handed over a token and said, "This token will melt after 10 days. You have to leave the city immediately. Otherwise, if you don't have the token on you, you will be arrested and punished severely." Got it. Luli curled his lips. The realm of flying celestial was smart. The token would disappear automatically when the time was up. Without the token, he could not stay in the city. Before he entered the city, the warrior told him several things. He must not provoke anyone without reason, or he would be punished. He must not make a move, or he would be killed instantly. He must not commit crimes, or he would be punished as well. In other words, they had to abide by the rules and be well-behaved in the city. Any bad behavior would be severely punished. For example, if he molested a girl and the girl reported it, he could be punished with hundreds of celestial stones. If he could not pay, he could be sent to do hard labor. That sergeant also gave Luli a booklet with the city rules listed in it clearly. Luli put it away after a casual glance. He walked into the city. It was a large city with many residents. There were many races. Luli was dazzled by the sight. But no matter what race they were, they all looked like humans in the city. At best, they would retain some of their own characteristics. Luli could understand. There were too many races, and many of them were huge. If they didn't change into human shapes, many buildings would be destroyed as soon as they entered the city. There were so many races of different sizes. The realm of flying celestial was a place where hundreds of races lived together. Therefore, there was only one standard and they had to be of similar size. As a matter of fact, the races here did not change according to the human race, but the wild race. The appearance of the wild race was similar to humans. In the infinite region, the wild race was the overlord. Naturally, the wild race was respected. This city was built in a very grand manner. The streets were very orderly, and the houses were also very orderly. Each house had a small courtyard, and many of the courtyards were lit up with white light. Clearly, there were people cultivating inside. Luli didn't know where to go even though he was in the city. He wandered around the city. Many races in the city looked at him, but didn't pay attention to him. Luli saw tens of thousands of warriors in the city. Most of them were at the Lord realm, and some were at the Great Emperor realm. Luli went into a tavern. After a while, he walked out because he could not afford it. The things inside were too expensive, but the things inside were very precious. For example, there was a dish made from the meat of a type of beast, and that beast was comparable to an overlord. Any random jug of wine would cost dozens of celestial stones, and it was obviously of the divine liquid grade. Luli went to another tavern. Soon, he realized he couldn't afford it either. It would cost 10 celestial stones to stay here for a day. Luli touched his nose, speechless. He, a warrior of the Great Emperor realm, could not afford a place to stay or food. If this spread to the third heaven, no one would dare to believe it, right? Luli thought about it and decided to spend some celestial stones to get some information. Information was the most important thing. Nothing else mattered. The best place to get information was the waiter in the tavern. There were many people coming and going in the tavern. The waiter lived here all year round. Therefore, he must have a clear idea of what was going on around here. The waiter knew this best. Once the celestial stones were spent, they would tell him everything. Luli sent a message to a waiter at the bottom of the tavern. Not long afterward, the waiter came back. He winked at Luli and led him around. After a while, they appeared in an alley. The waiter bowed with a smile and said, "Lord, 100 celestial stones. What do you want to know? As long as it is about the Black Tortoise City, I know most of it, and I can tell you." Luli gave him 100 celestial stones without hesitation and began to ask questions. After more than 2 hours, he waved his hand. The waiter left with the celestial stones, satisfied. Luli stood where he was with a solemn and disappointed expression. It was not easy to live a good life in the flying celestial world. This was indeed the safest place in the infinite region. However, the prerequisite was that one had to have a residence in the city. There were only 111 cities in the flying celestial world, not to mention the holy city. Even a monarch city was expensive. The reason why it was so expensive was because the 33 great clans had done it on purpose. The entire flying celestial world was the money bag of the 33 major families. Apart from a huge manor in the holy city, the 33 major families didn't have any family members living in other places. The members of the 33 major families never messed around in the flying celestial world. They built the flying celestial world into a land of treasures, a paradise. Their purpose was to attract countless old demons and experts from small families to settle down, cultivate, and fight for treasures. Such a big realm only had 111 cities. How many people were there in the entire infinite region? There were countless old devils from the outside gathered here as well. The rarer something was, the more valuable it was. Naturally, the land price in the city was high. On the other hand, if the owner of the residence died, they would have to reclaim it. By then, they could sell it again. It was not safe outside the city. If it was safe outside, the land price in the city wouldn't be so high. Luli even suspected that the reason why it was so unsafe outside the city was because of the frequent beast tides, was because of the 33 major families. Otherwise, the 33 major families could easily kill all the beasts by sending out some Saint King experts. It was very likely that they left these beasts behind to force everyone to enter the city. It was difficult to earn celestial stones in the infinite region. Celestial stones were very valuable. Of course, if you could sell some treasures like sacred weapons, you could get a lot of celestial stones. For example, if Luli sold the Holy Mountain, he could get tens of millions of celestial stones easily. Luli had a sacred weapon, the soul-devouring bead, but why would he sell it? As for the elixirs, they weren't worth any celestial stones. There were tens of thousands of realms in the infinite region. What kind of elixir couldn't be found here? Because there were so many resources here, the average strength of a martial artist here was not low. Luli finally understood some things. For example, when he saw some emperor rank experts harvesting elixirs outside, he couldn't figure it out. Since when did emperor rank experts have such a miserable life? Now he knew that those emperor rank experts were forced to live. They must be accumulating celestial stones so that they could buy a residence in the city. There is no other way. Luli thought for a while and decided to wander around the city for a few days. As an emperor rank expert, there was nothing he could do. He had to go out to mine and harvest elixirs to earn celestial stones. End of this chapter. Chapter 3023. Crimson Dragon Planet. Main City, Crimson Dragon City. The city was bustling that day. Countless important figures that were not usually seen were out to greet two distinguished guests from afar. These two distinguished guests were divine emperors. If they were ordinary divine emperors, they would not have attracted so many important figures. To many of the important figures of the Crimson Dragon race, these two divine emperors were not special. However, since an ancestral patriarch of the Crimson Dragon race had spoken, they had to take it seriously. The Crimson Dragon race sent out 10 founding elders and countless thearchs to greet them. After waiting for an hour, a winter iron warship flew over. Divine Ancestor Tion and Divine Ancestor Yun stood on the warship. They found hundreds of powerful figures standing at the city gate. There were 10 Divine Ancestors, and a few of them were more powerful than Divine Ancestor Yuan. Their faces were flushed, and their hearts were at ease. After a round of pleasantries, the two divine ancestors were welcomed into the Crimson Dragon Palace. That member of the royal family did not come out. The great elder of the Crimson Dragon clan personally received them. After 3 rounds of wine, the two divine ancestors were brought to the back mountain to meet the great founding elder. The great founding elder was very old, and his lifespan was running out. An ancestral patriarch of the Sacred Abyss race had saved the great founding elder's life, and he had always remembered it. This ancestral patriarch later died in the infinite region, which made the great founding elder feel very guilty. Now that his descendant had found him, how could he not take it seriously? Divine Ancestor Tion sent Divine Ancestor Yuan out. The great founding elder checked and asked him to rest in the back mountain. He took out a top-level divine medicine to heal Divine Ancestor Yuan. When Divine Ancestor Tion offered to help hunt down Lu Li and take back the sacred mountain, the Crimson Dragon race agreed and immediately arranged to track down Lu Li's whereabouts. Divine Ancestor Tion could roughly sense it. He reported the location. In just half a month, the Crimson Dragon race found Lu Li's whereabouts. Lu Li was in the flying celestial realm in Xianwu City. This is a bit troublesome. The great founding elder was very old and looked no different from a human. He only had dragon horns on his head and a dragon tail on his back. His skin was wrinkled, and he said bluntly, "We cannot attack the flying celestial realm. This is a common agreement among the 33 races. We cannot send powerful figures to capture him." This Sacred Ancestor Tion and Sacred Ancestor Yun were worried. If Lu Li stayed in the realm of flying immortals and cultivated there for 10,000 years, or even 100,000 years, he would become a Saint King very soon, given his talent. It had not been long since Lu Li reached the Overlord realm. The soul skill he released earlier was very powerful. If he reached the Saint Emperor realm, it would be very difficult to kill him. The sacred mountain would probably be lost forever. Don't worry, seeing how anxious the two divine ancestors were. The Crimson Dragon royalty smiled and waved his hand. We can't do it openly, and we can't leave any evidence behind. However, that doesn't mean that we don't have any opportunities. Leave it to us. When we return, we will definitely bring his corpse back to you. We will also help you take back your clan's treasure. Back then, your ancestors saved this king's life. This king will definitely repay this favor. Thank you, Lord Ao Ding. The two divine ancestors were overjoyed and hurriedly thanked him. The royalty pondered for a moment and said, "Stay in Crimson Dragon City for now. This matter cannot be rushed. If it's fast, it will take 3 to 5 years. If it's slow, it will take decades. We need to find an opportunity. We cannot leave any traces or evidence behind, or the desolate race will find trouble with us." Desolate race. The two divine ancestors looked at each other. Sacred Ancestor Tion said, puzzled, "Lord Ao Ding, the desolate race is one of the 33 races like you. Although they're slightly stronger than the nobles, they should at least give you some face, right? It's just capturing an outsider. It's not that important, right?" "No, you don't understand." Ao Ding shook his head. "The desolate race is much stronger than us. One desolate race can fight against 10 large races. The desolate race will not give us any face. They will not give any face to any other race. They are very old-fashioned and mean. They are very particular about rules. If anyone breaks the rules, they will immediately take action. It's like me personally taking action and capturing that enemy of yours. Once the desolate race learns of it, unless our race hands me over, our race will be annihilated by the other large races. Actually, you might not know this, but the infinite desolate star domain did not have 33 large races, but 36. The other 3 were either annihilated or moved to other star domains. That terrifying? The two divine ancestors looked each other in the eye. They were secretly alarmed. They knew of the desolate race, but they never expected them to be that powerful. A single race could fight against 10 large races. Ao Ding smiled and said, "If the desolate race was not so few in numbers, with only tens of thousands of people, they would probably be the undisputed kings of these star domains if their numbers were increased by 100 times. The two divine ancestors were even more shocked. Sacred Ancestor Tion thought and asked, "Back then, many large races came. How many of the top 10 large races came? Is the desolate race stronger than those large races?" "More or less." Ao Ding nodded slightly. "You have to consider this. The desolate race has always been in the infinite desolate star domain. They have never gone to the worlds above. As for those large races, they came from the worlds above. How many resources did they obtain from the worlds above? If they were on the same level, the desolate race would definitely be able to fight against all the strong races. Besides, those large races that came from the infinite desolate race are no longer as strong as they were in the past. Now, in the 5-star domains, there is no longer a single large race that has the absolute combat power to dominate. What happened back then caused all the races to suffer a great loss. What happened back then? Sacred Ancestor Tion and Sacred Ancestor Yun were immediately curious. They knew a little, but there were many secrets that they did not know. The Red Dragon race had come from the 4th heaven, so they definitely knew all the secrets. Sacred Ancestor Tion inquired, Lord Ao Ding, back then, why did the world above the 4th heaven collapse? Was it really because of that woman? Haha. Ao Ding laughed and shook his head. Let's not talk about these old matters. There's no point in talking about them. It's even worse if they spread. Don't ask too much, or you might get into trouble. All right. Sacred Ancestor Tion and Sacred Ancestor Yin were slightly disappointed. They had heard some rumors, but they were not sure if they were true. They wanted to confirm it with Ao Ding, but they never expected him to say it. A woman. The rumors they had heard said that the worlds above the 4th heaven had collapsed because of a woman of unparalleled beauty and extremely powerful strength. That woman was now a taboo existence. No one dared to speak of her publicly. However, there were many rumors in private. Sacred Ancestor Tion and company had heard a few versions, but they did not know which one was true. All right, you guys go down and cultivate. Ao Ding waved his hand and said, this king will send some people to give you some cultivation resources. You can also take a stroll around my clan's holy land. As for that human, you don't have to worry about it. Just wait patiently. I will bring his corpse back to you. Thank you, Lord Ao Ding. Sacred Ancestor Tion and Sacred Ancestor Yun were overjoyed. They thanked him profusely and left. Chapter 3024. In any place, the rarer something was, the greater its value. Whatever was lacking in the barren universe, it would be expensive. For example, the barren universe had no shortage of elixirs, which was why they were cheap. Since there were many great Emperor Realm weapons were not as valuable. To earn celestial stones in the barren universe, there were several ways. The first was to seek refuge with a major race and work for another race. In this way, he could receive salary and celestial stones every once in a while. Given Lu Li's abilities, he could be valued if he sought refuge with a major race. At the very least, he could get himself a castle in the Black Tortoise City. That being said, Lu Li did not like to depend on others, nor did he want to be a fighter for other races or be ordered around by other races. The second way was to dig for elixirs and materials. The realm of flying immortals was full of elixirs and materials. If he was lucky, he could spend decades or even a century digging, and he could buy a yard in the Black Tortoise City. He could also hunt for beasts. Many materials from beasts were valuable and could be sold at a high price. The higher the rank of the beasts, the more valuable the materials would be. The third option was to go to dangerous places to search for treasures. There were too many historical remains in the flying immortal world, and there were too many treasure lands. There were countless treasures inside. With some valuable treasures, it would be easy to buy a manor. Lu Li had chosen the third way. The second way would take too long, and he didn't think it was safe. The wild was not as safe as the city. There were patrols. What could the patrols do if some powerful warrior tried to assassinate him without leaving any evidence? At the very least, the four-armed race could hire assassins. There would be assassins willing to do it for the cost of celestial stones. Therefore, Lu Li chose to go to some lands of treasure. If he could dig out some treasures, it would be the end of the matter once and for all. The waiter told Lu Li more than a dozen places. Every year, treasures could be dug out from those places, but they were dangerous. Every year, many would die in those places. As for where to go, it was up to Lu Li to decide. After pondering for a long time, he decided to leave the nearby Black Fox Mountain. This mountain had been discovered more than 10 years ago, and it was confirmed to be the tomb of an old devil. The treasures on the periphery had already been taken, but there should still be treasures inside. Luli chose to go to those lands of treasures because he had Blood Fairy, a master in divine inscriptions. He believed that with Blood Fairy around, he would have a high chance of obtaining treasures. Besides, he had the Holy Mountain, so he didn't have to worry about its defenses. So, digging for treasures was the best option. He wandered around Black Tortoise City for a few more days, roughly understanding the situation inside. He also discovered the existence of a human race, and the number of humans living in the city was not small. The humans here had also come from the Fourth Heaven Realm back then. They were a super big clan, the Dai clan. Their clan's disciples and peripheral personnel added up to hundreds of thousands of people. Luli also saw the legendary Desolate race. This race looked similar to humans. The only difference was that they had a blue diamond-shaped tattoo in between their eyebrows. It was very obvious. Their hair was also blue. This race was generally slightly taller than the human race. The men were handsome, and the women were gentle and beautiful. However, their temperament was cold, and they were expressionless to anyone. Luli found many large shops and auction houses in the city. Whatever one wanted, one could buy it as long as one had celestial stones. Luli even saw a holy weapon in a large shop. It was not a powerful holy weapon, but it was a holy weapon nonetheless. It was placed in the hall. A few days later, Luli had learned a lot of information. He had gained some understanding of the Black Tortoise City. He had been eavesdropping and had learned a lot. Let's go. 10 days later, Luli's token began to melt. He hurried out. Outside the city, he did not go to the Black Fox Mountain. Instead, he took a detour. He traveled for thousands of miles and found a place to enter the Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain shrank. Luli told the Holy Mountain to conceal its energy. Then, he used the trace of Tao to sense. Whoosh! Not long afterward, Luli heard a slight noise coming from behind him. Then, a strand of psychic power came like a breeze. When the psychic power locked onto the Holy Mountain, it trembled. Buzzing, Luli flew the Holy Mountain over and stopped above the warrior's head. He said coldly, "You are here to track me down, right? Who sent you?" It was a warrior of a strange race. He was skinny and looked like a monkey. He had a protruding mouth and cheeks, and there was hair on his face. He was not strong, only at the quasi-emperor realm. That alien race warrior was noticed by Lu Li, but he didn't mind. He said casually, "This mountain belongs to you? Can I just pass by?" "Pass by?" Lu Li snorted. "You have been watching me for a few days in the city. You think I don't know? You have the guts to do it, but not the guts to admit it? So what if I admit it?" The skinny alien race warrior snorted. "Do you have the guts to kill me? If I really kill you and destroy your body, what can you do to me?" Luli responded with a question. "You can try." The skinny alien race warrior sneered. "If you do something here and I die, the Desolate race has a strange way to track you down." Luli was a bit surprised. He smiled and said, "Then go on. I want to see if you can catch up with me. You're just a nobody." Whoosh! The Holy Mountain tore through the air at an extremely fast speed, disappearing into the distance in the blink of an eye. The skinny alien race warrior's eyes were wide open and his mouth was agape. Luli was so fast that he couldn't catch up with Luli even if he broke his legs. After a while, Luli stopped the Holy Mountain. Then he got out and flew towards the Black Fox Mountain. It was easy to find the Black Fox Mountain. It took Luli 2 days to find it. The mountain was not big, and it was made up of black rocks. It looked like a black fox, which was why it was named the Black Fox Mountain. Luli circled around the mountain to make sure that there were no warriors lurking around. Then, he rushed toward the mouth of the Black Fox Mountain. There was a cave there which was clearly the entrance. After entering the entrance, Luli walked along a mountain path. Not long after, he saw a gate, but it had been broken. Walking into the main hall, it was also a mess. Many places had been destroyed, and some walls had large holes dug out. It was likely that some of the night pearls and the like had been dug out. Luli moved on. Along the way, he saw halls, corridors, and side halls. But they were all ruined and hollowed out. Many glyphs were destroyed. It had been a long time since this place was discovered. Many powerful warriors must have come in to search. "Blood Fairy, it is up to you." Luli was not in the mood to search. There were many halls like a maze. Luli's head was getting dizzy after walking around. He might as well let Blood Fairy do the work. Blood Fairy only needed to go and find out which glyphs were not destroyed. Then there must be treasures in the halls. There was no need to search where the glyphs were broken. Chapter 3025. It turned out that Luli's method was effective and accurate. In less than half a day, Blood Fairy sent a message to Han's senator. She had searched the entire place and found only 2 halls whose divine inscriptions hadn't been broken. Since the inscriptions hadn't been broken, there must be treasures inside. Luli followed Blood Fairy and wandered around. Eventually, they came to a dead end. Normally, people would turn around when they saw a dead end. They did not know that there was a hidden hall here. "Master, wait a minute," Blood Fairy said after a while. "There are not only powerful defensive runes here, but also formations of destruction. I might need half a month to crack them all." "Don't worry." Luli sat on the spot and cultivated. Half a month passed by in the blink of an eye. He was filled with anticipation. He wondered what was in the hall. Half a month later, the blocked walls suddenly lit up. Then, a door appeared. Luli pushed it open and used psychic power to check. It was a small hall. The hall was empty. There were not many things in it. Luli only saw 5 vats filled with some green liquid. The 5 vats were protected by divine rune shields, and they were still open. "What kind of liquid is this?" Luli walked into the hall and stared at the vats for a while. He said to Blood Fairy, "Crack the rune and let's see." "This is just a small rune." "Now," Blood Fairy said. Not long after, the divine glyph was broken, and a rich aroma filled the air. Blood Fairy sealed the rune. The aroma was so strong that it was equivalent to a great amount of efficacy being released. Luli did not want to waste it. He told Blood Fairy to set up the rune. The small rune could be set up quickly. A moment later, a shield came up and the aroma disappeared. Luli stopped looking and put the 5 vats into his interspatial ring. Making sure that there was nothing else in the small hall, Luli asked Blood Fairy to crack open another hall. That hall was located in the deepest part of the ground. The rune was strong. It took Blood Fairy over a month to crack open the rune. Whoosh! Before Luli could enter the gate, a gust of wind blew by. A person dashed into the hall. "You want to pick peaches?" Luli flew into a rage. He took out a stamp stone to record everything and then released his soul skill at once. That warrior's battle prowess wasn't considered strong. He only had the battle prowess of an ordinary overlord. After being struck, his speed was greatly reduced, and his face was filled with pain. Luli walked over in strides, stared at the man coldly, and said, "How dare you take my treasures? Do you want to die? Humph, you dared make a move in the flying celestial world?" It was a man with a pointy head resembling a corn bud. He looked at Luli mockingly. "I will definitely report this matter to the Black Warrior Institute. At that time, you can die. You think it's reasonable for you to steal my treasure?" Holding the seal stone in his hand, Luli said, "I've recorded everything that happened just now and now. According to the iron law of the flying immortal world, even if I injure you, the Black Warrior Mansion will not pursue this matter. Are you going to scram or not? If you don't scram, I'll cripple you." The warrior shrunk his head, gritted his teeth, and said, "You win." The warrior left quickly. Luli went into the hall and asked Blood Fairy to seal off the divine runes in case someone broke in. That overlord warrior was strange. He didn't make any sound. Luli didn't even know that he was right next to him. If Luli had been ambushed, and this warrior was strong enough, Luli would have died. There were hundreds of races, and many of them had their own special skills. In this galaxy, if one underestimated an enemy, one might not even know how he died. The hall was spacious with many relic weapons and treasures. Luli curled his lips at a glance. There seemed to be a lot of treasures here, piled up in several piles. But they were not the best. There were just some average relic weapons and armors. There wasn't even a single relic weapon. "What? There are 3 boxes over there?" Luli saw several boxes in the corner. He hurried over. The boxes were all engraved with divine runes, but Blood Fairy opened them as soon as she went over. Not bad. Luli felt relieved when he opened the 3 boxes. There were relic weapons in the 3 boxes. One was a weapon, one was an armor, and the third was a bead. Luli put away all the relic weapons and searched the hall. He left after making sure that there were no other treasures in the hall. Blood Fairy checked to make sure that there were no other treasures in the hall. Then, Luli left with Blood Fairy. Moving on, with Blood Fairy's help, it was so easy to search through the ruins. He didn't even have to do anything, and yet he had easily obtained a pile of treasures. Although there were no holy weapons, the weapons and the 5 vats of divine liquid were definitely valuable. Luli took out a map that Blood Fairy drew. He checked the direction and flew toward the northwest. There was a large ruin over there. It was dangerous, but he was not afraid now. Not even powerful divine runes could kill him. The Holy Mountain's defense was impressive. Along the way, Luli encountered many beasts. Previously, he didn't dare to kill them, but this time he didn't hold back. As long as he encountered any ferocious beasts, he would kill all of them, unless they were too powerful. If he felt that killing them was too strenuous, he would not bother. Luli's formations were strong. He could trap beasts at the peak of the Imperial Realm. However, those beasts were strong in defense. It would be difficult for Luli to kill them all. Along the way, Luli ran into another frigid iron battleship. It was a law enforcement team led by a powerful warrior of the wild race. There was one warrior from each race. The weakest of them was at the Imperial Realm, and there were many Saint Kings. The law enforcement team saw Luli, but they didn't pay much attention. They just threw him a quick glance, and the battleship flew into the distance. Luli flew on for over 10 days. Finally, he arrived at his second destination. This was a famous ruin. It was the burial ground of a powerful warrior that was well known across the entire barren region. He once wiped out more than a dozen small races. He had many treasures with him. Before his life came to an end, he found a tomb and spent 100 years to set it up. He made it clear that no one from the 33 races could enter or the tomb would explode. Before he died, he talked to the family leader of the wild race. The family leader also said that no one from the 33 races could enter. This graveyard had attracted countless experts from smaller races in the past, including many Saint Kings. Quite a few treasures had been dug out. Of course, many died as well. Even a Saint King from a small race died in there. Emperor Kuin's tomb. The Kuin Emperor's tomb had already existed for over 200,000 years, and the number of experts that had entered this place was innumerable. Most of the treasures inside had been dug out, including the main hall's divine inscriptions. There were treasures left, but Emperor Kuin's famous holy weapons and treasures were all taken away. The rest of the treasures were of no interest to the Saint Kings. Also, many places were dangerous. Those Saint Kings didn't want to take the risk. Average warriors could not decipher the runes. Gradually, people stopped coming here. Emperor Kuin's tomb. Luli looked at the magnificent cemetery in front of him. He was excited. He wondered if there were other treasures here. If he could get his hands on a precious treasure that he had no use for, he could sell it and settle down in the Black Warrior City permanently. Chapter 3026. Emperor Kuin's mausoleum was large. It was built openly on the mountainside. It was grand and luxurious. In front of the mausoleum was a plaza with a huge stone statue of Emperor Kuin. Next to it was a tablet that recorded Emperor Kuin's life. It was signed by the family patriarch of the wild race. Luli read it carefully. The evaluation of Emperor Kuin was objective. There was no praise for Emperor Kuin. It was just a record of Emperor Kuin's deeds. It was clearly stated that disciples of the 33 races were not allowed to enter or they would become enemies of the wild race. It was also stated that the Hall of Kuin was the burial place of Emperor Kuin. There were no treasures in the hall. Nobody was allowed to enter the hall or destroy the runes in the hall. Otherwise, they would be hunted down by the wild race. So, Emperor Kuin and the wild race are on good terms. Luli walked in after a while. Many halls were broken open and empty. There was nothing inside. Some luminous pearls on the walls were taken away. Some doors were even taken away. Luli did not look around. Since this place had a history of 100,000 years and was a famous place in the entire barren universe, he did not need to check the average halls. There would be nothing here. Blood Fairy went to check while Luli walked around the hall. There were some murals on the walls. They were exquisite. Though there was no trace of Tao, they were beautiful nonetheless. 2 days passed. Luli did not disturb Blood Fairy. He waited patiently. Blood Fairy did not disappoint him. The result was satisfactory. Master, I found 4 complete halls. There should be treasures in each of these halls. But the halls are engraved with runes. If you rely on your physical strength, you will be killed instantly. Killed instantly? Luli was surprised. Were the runes here that horrifying? He asked, if I fly over on the sacred mountain, can I withstand it? I think so. Blood Fairy answered, but don't worry. I will try to crack it first. If I can, you won't have to take the risk. Okay. Luli nodded and followed Blood Fairy's directions. After the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, he arrived at a dilapidated hall after many twists and turns. Master, stay here and cultivate. Don't go any further. If you go any further, there will be a divine inscriptions killing formation. Blood Fairy left after she left. Luli sat down in the hall and continued to cultivate. He wanted to further improve his understanding of the divine inscriptions and other secret arts. For example, he felt that there was still room for improvement in the Soul Sword. The Kuan Emperor's mausoleum had been in existence for many years. Those who should have come to hunt for treasures had come a long time ago. There were no treasures here, only dangers. Therefore, Luli had been cultivating here for half a month without seeing a single warrior. Blood Fairy did not reply. Luli stood up and went to the hall outside. He set up some divine runes, small ones that could serve as alarms. With that done, Luli went back to cultivate. This time, he cultivated for over 3 months. Finally, Blood Fairy said, Master, you have cracked it. All right. Luli opened his eyes in delight. He was about to step in when Blood Fairy said, Master, do not wander around. You must take the holy mountain. The formations outside are not broken yet. Oh, I see. Luli went into the holy mountain at once. The holy mountain shrank. Blood Fairy flew the mountain in. As soon as Luli went in, the divine runes kept on glaring. Rays of light blasted down. It was as if tens of thousands of arrows were fired at the same time. It was as if thunder was rumbling. Boom, 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 boom. Countless rays of light landed on the holy mountain. The mountain trembled, but nothing happened. The holy mountain moved forward slowly and went through the hall. After passing through the palace, the divine inscriptions stopped attacking. There was a door in front of them, and Blood Fairy's voice rang out. Master, open this door and you'll arrive at the palace. Everything is safe here, don't worry. Luli went out at once and pushed the door open. The moment he opened the door, he felt he could not keep his eyes open. There were so many weapons in the hall that they filled up half of the hall. Wow, so many sovereign weapons. Luli was taken aback. He saw at least 5 or 6 great emperor weapons, and the rest were not average weapons. Many of the weapons were engraved with dense divine runes. They were as strong as mountains. There must be tens of thousands of weapons here. Luli exclaimed to himself. How rich was Emperor Kuan back in the days? Almost all the treasures in the tomb of Emperor Kuan had been taken away. What was left were just some scraps. Luli did not expect that there were so many relic weapons. Those relic weapons were thrown on the ground randomly. It seemed that they were not taken seriously. This Emperor Kuan was extremely wealthy. Back in the days, he lived up to his reputation as a powerful warrior in the Infinite Region. Luli put away all the relic weapons. He looked around and left after making sure that there were no more treasures. He rode the holy mountain back to the second hall. This hall also had complicated divine runes. But compared to the first hall, this one was much simpler. In a little over a month, the divine runes were solved. Once again, Luli was overjoyed to see this hall. There were piles of relic, many of which he had never seen before. Many of the relic were in jade boxes. Clearly, they were of high level. I am rich. Luli took a casual look. There were at least tens of thousands of relic here. The relic that could catch the eye of such a powerful warrior could not be mediocre. It must be worth a lot of celestial stones. The third hall took Luli 2 months. It was filled with relic. Luli did not know many of them, but since they could be here, they must be of good quality. There were hundreds of thousands of relic. If he could sell them, he could earn a huge amount of celestial stones. There was one last hall left. This time, it took longer, more than 4 hours. When Luli went in, he was stunned. The hall inside was spacious. However, there were no piles of treasures like before. There was only a small box. Luli opened the box. There was a bottle with only one pellet in it. Luli did not dare to open it casually. He just checked it. He did not know what the use of the pellet was. That being said, it must be a treasure, or else it would not be placed in this hall alone. Blood Fairy, do you have more? Luli asked eagerly. If there were more treasures in several halls, he could afford a manor at the Black Tortoise City. I will go and have a look. Blood Fairy snuck into the ground. After half a day, she said, Master, there is only one hall left. I don't think there are any treasures in it. There's only a bronze coffin. Oh, I don't think so. Luli nodded. It was clearly stated outside that no treasures could be found in that hall. No one could go in. Let's go back. Luli waved his hand. He had gained a lot this time, but he did not know the value. Was it enough to buy a residence in the Black Tortoise City? Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 30:27. The journey back was also very smooth. They encountered quite a few ferocious beasts along the way, but with the sacred mountain, there was naturally no problem. Luli traded for hundreds of Heaven Kirin stones at the black market outside the city. He didn't take out the elixirs he got from the 2 ruins. Instead, he took out the elixirs he had before. He had a lot of them anyway. It was expensive to buy things from the black market, but it was cheap to sell them. Naturally, Luli wouldn't sell things from the black market. After paying 10 days of entry fees, he walked to the largest merchant association in the city, the Desolate Races Merchant Association. As the name suggested, this merchant association was run by the Desolate Race. The prices were fair and they did not cheat anyone. The Desolate Race's reputation was guaranteed, so there was no need to be afraid of being scammed when doing business here. Sir, are you buying or selling? An elder came forward with a smile. This elder was clearly not a member of the Desolate Race. He was likely someone hired by the Desolate Race. Selling things. Luli said lightly, That is a lot. Take me to your lord. All right, sir, please. The elder smiled as he brought Luli into a side hall. There were 2 members of the Desolate Race inside. One of them was an elder standing, while the other was a woman sitting behind table. The Desolate Race was similar to the human race, but their auras were different. The Desolate Race's aura was very unique and could be easily sensed. There was a diamond-shaped blue mark between their eyebrows that looked like a blue flame. Luli's eyes lit up when he saw the Desolate Race girl in front of him. She was very young and very beautiful. She had a rich aura of the Desolate Race on her, giving off a different vibe. Most importantly, this woman had actually reached the realm of Saint Kings. Although she seemed to have broken through not too long ago, reaching the realm of Saint Kings at such a young age made people sigh at the strength of the Desolate Race. This woman was the same as the rest of the Desolate Race. She had an extremely cold demeanor and a straight face. It was as if everyone owed her millions of celestial stones, making her look pale. Miss Lee, Elder 2, this guest wants to sell a treasure. The old man went in and respectfully reported. Miss Li and Elder 2 looked over. Miss Li quickly lowered her head and continued to look at the accounts in her hands. Elder 2 walked over and said, What does this customer want to sell? Luli took out an interspatial ring he had prepared and said, Lord, please give me a price. The spatial ring was filled with divine medicines obtained from the Kuan Emperor tomb. Tu Lao received it and quickly revealed a trace of surprise in his eyes as he said, These divine herbs are not bad. I will give you a round figure, 10,000 celestial stones. Luli raised his eyebrows and asked, Lord, don't you need to compare them one by one? There are many types of divine medicines here. He, Elder 2 smiled faintly, but there wasn't much of a smile on his face. He seemed to be putting on a fake smile. He said, I've been here for 100,000 years and have come into contact with millions of divine medicines. Do you think I would make a mistake? The Desolate Race's reputation will not be destroyed in my hands. You have black heart grass, seven flames leaf. Patriarch 2 casually told Lu Li the names of the elixirs. With that said, he took out a booklet from his interspatial ring, handed it to Lu Li, and said, "Here are the names and prices of the elixirs. If you're afraid of getting it wrong, you can do it yourself. I believe in your desolate race's credibility." Lu Li glanced over, but didn't calculate it. He would be satisfied if he could sell it for 10,000 celestial stones. The elixirs he brought from the third heaven could only be sold for a few hundred celestial stones. Lu Li took out another interspatial ring. It was filled with divine materials. When the elder took it over, he was surprised again. This time, he looked at it for a long time. After the time for one incense stick to burn, he said, "You should have more than 10,000 celestial stones. I will round it up to 18,000 celestial stones. We have the same booklet. You can compare them one by one." "That won't be necessary." Lu Li didn't even look at the booklet. He waved his hand and said, "If I didn't trust the desolate race, I wouldn't have come here." Lu Li took out the third interspatial ring. It was filled with relics, including the Emperor weapons. For him, Emperor weapons were not of much use. The divine chains of order were far more powerful than Emperor weapons. When the elder took it over, he seemed to be relieved. He looked up at Lu Li and said, "I didn't know that you had entered the Kuan Emperor's tomb. You've already broken through the last few halls in there." "Eh?" The lady behind the counter raised her head in astonishment. She stared at Lu Li with curiosity in her eyes. Who in the entire star region didn't know how powerful the divine patterns in the Kuan Emperor's tomb were? How could Lu Li solve them? What mattered was that Lu Li was too young. Divine patterns could only be learned over time. Young people were busy cultivating and improving their abilities. They didn't have the time to study divine patterns. Lu Li asked, "What is it? Can't I go to the Kuan Emperor's tomb?" "Not really." Master 2 shook his head. "Anyone can go to the treasured lands outside the realm of flying immortals. It is up to one's ability to get what you want. Then name your price." Lu Li was looking forward to it. He wondered how much the relic weapons were worth. Lu Li had calculated it at 28,000 celestial stones. If the weapons here were worth 60,000 or 70,000 celestial stones, it would be enough. The elder calculated for a long time. After the time for one incense stick to burn, he said, 50,000 celestial stones. They're not worth that much. But the relic weapons are marked by Kuan Emperor. They can be regarded as works of art. I will give you a higher price." 50,000? Lu Li was disappointed. 50,000 would only add up to 78,000 celestial stones. He still needed more than 20,000 celestial stones. He thought about it and took out the vats of liquid he got from the Black Fox Mountain. He asked, "Are they valuable?" "Not at all." Master 2 shook his head. "They're used to refine the body. There are many of them in the star region of Infinite Region. I think they are worth 2,000 celestial stones at most." "Still not enough." Lu Li thought about it, took out the jade bottle, and handed it over. "Are they valuable?" The pellet was in a hall. Lu Li believed it must be valuable if there was only one pellet in such a large hall. Master 2 took it over, but didn't open it. He checked it, and his eyes lit up. He shouted, "Heaven Core Pellet. There is such a pellet in the Kuan Emperor's tomb?" "Heaven Core Pellet?" Lady Li suddenly stood up and dashed over. She grabbed the bottle and checked it. Then she said with a rare smile, "It really is Heaven Core Pellet. 2,000,000 celestial stones. We will take it." Master 2 offered Lu Li a price without any hesitation. 2,000,000? Lu Li thought he had heard it wrong. He knew the pellet was valuable, but didn't know it was worth so much. The pellets he offered were only worth tens of thousands of celestial stones. This one was worth 2,000,000? Lu Li didn't say yes. Instead, he asked, "What is it for?" Before Master 2 could answer, Lady Li interrupted, 3,000,000. "Will you sell it?" Lu Li didn't expect that his question would increase the price by 1,000,000. At this moment, he didn't want to sell it. There were so many relics out there. With Blood Fairy, he could get treasures easily. He only needed tens of thousands of celestial stones. There was no hurry. Clearly, the Heaven Core Pellet was a treasure. It must be of great help to warriors' cultivation. The real good stuff could not be bought even with celestial stones. Seeing that Luli didn't say anything, Lady Li said again, "For a million, will you sell it?" Luli shook his head decisively. "I'm sorry. I will not sell it. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version." Chapter 3028. In the third layer of heaven, good things were priceless. This was because the super clans did not lack things like divine origin heaven stones. Naturally, they would not sell the truly good things. Even if they wanted to sell them, they would use treasures of equivalent value to exchange. Lady Li's status in the Desolate race was not low. As the most powerful race in the Infinite Star region, she had seen all kinds of good things. Now that she was moved by a pellet and was increasing the price, it meant that the pellet was very precious. Since it was good, it could not be sold. Lady Li's expression turned cold. She said in a deep voice, "Are you messing with us? If you're not selling, why are you taking it out?" Luli said with a faint smile, "I don't know what this is, but I know it's very precious. Since it's good stuff, I naturally want to keep it for myself. Your Desolate race is free to do business, so there's no such thing as forced buying or selling, right?" "Of course not," Lady Li said coldly. "If you are not willing to sell, I will not force you. But the Heaven Marrow pellet is meaningless to you. It is more useful to my race. It is used to refine the body. My race has no lack of such pellets. But the Grand Master that can refine the Heaven Marrow pellet is dead. There are almost no more of them. That is why I am offering such a price." Body refining? Lu Li's eyes lit up. He cultivated in both spirit and martial arts. His focus was on his soul and body. He didn't care much about skills and fundamental principles. It had been a long time since his body was improved. Now that there was a chance, he would not miss it. He thought about it and said, "I am sorry, Lady Li. I also cultivate in body refining, so I will use the pellet myself. Is it important for me to have a strong body?" "You also cultivate in body refining?" Lady Li sneered and said, "You humans are born with weak bodies. What's the point of cultivating in body refining? Can you reach the peak of the Imperial realm?" "Ha ha ha." Luli laughed and said, "Can humans not cultivate their bodies? My body is almost at the peak of the Imperial realm." "Don't brag," Lady Li sneered. "If your body can barely reach the peak of the Imperial realm, I will give you 10,000 celestial stones. If not, how about selling the Heaven Marrow pellet to me?" "Okay." Luli was overjoyed. He didn't expect that someone would offer him celestial stones. He grinned and said, "Patriarch 2 can be my witness." "Lady Li, don't go back on your words." Old 2 had a bad feeling, but since Miss Li said it, how could he refute it? He could only nod and say, "My family's young miss words naturally count." "All right," Luli said with confidence. "Can I show you my physical strength? Will the soldiers in the city say anything?" "Of course not." Old 2 felt a sense of unease in his heart. He blasted out a beam of light that illuminated the entire Great Hall. Old 2 had activated his divine imprints. "Divine Dragon Transformation!" Luli shouted. His robe burst apart, and then he was covered in scales. Dragon wings grew out from his back, dragon horns on his head, dragon tail on his back, and his hands turned into dragon claws. At the same time, he released the dragon wrestling skill, which strengthened his physical strength by 10 times. Luli's powerful chi and energy spread out. Lady Li and Patriarch 2 were surprised. A warrior at the initial stage of the Emperor realm could release a skill that could make his body comparable to that of a warrior at the peak of the Emperor realm. More importantly, Luli was a human, and humans did not have any special abilities. "You are not a human." Lady Li's eyes grew colder. She snorted. "You pretended to be a human and cheated me of 10,000 celestial stones. You have guts." Cough, cough. Old 2 coughed awkwardly and said, "Lady Li, he is a human. This is a skill he cultivated." Lady Li snorted and walked out. She said, "Give him 10,000 celestial stones. I am done checking the accounts. I am leaving." Old 2 took out 10,000 celestial stones and said with a straight face, "Kid, This Lady Li of my race has a bad temper. Haha, Luli said disapprovingly. The flying celestial realm does not allow violence. Do you think your lady will eat me up? Of course, if the wild race violates the rules of the flying celestial realm, then it will be too easy for me to be killed. Old Two said nothing more. Luli thought about it and said, sell the things in these interspatial rings. We will do it at the price you offered. 78,000 celestial stones plus the 10,000 that Lady Li lost him. That would make him 88,000 celestial stones. If he could sell some more treasures, then he would have 100,000 celestial stones. Luli thought about it. There was nothing else he could sell. He didn't want to sell the valuable ones. The rest were not worth much, and he wouldn't get many celestial stones. Let me go out again. Luli made up his mind. With Blood Fairy around, it would be too easy for him to dig up treasures. He could go to 2 other places of treasure and gather tens of thousands of celestial stones to buy a residence. With more celestial stones, he could buy some cultivation resources. After the deal was done, Luli walked out. He thought about it and walked toward the tavern. He wanted to ask a waiter for more information. With celestial stones, Luli was emboldened. He asked for a private room and ordered a table full of dishes. He spent more than 1,000 celestial stones and enjoyed the meal. Then, he asked the waiter for more information. Place of treasure? The waiter thought about it and said, speaking of places of treasure, there's been news in the last half a month that a new place of treasure has been discovered in the southeast. Many powerful warriors have gone there. I heard that a patrol team was sent there in case of violence. It is a place of treasure, like the Kuan Emperor's tomb. It is said that there are many treasures there. Well, it is called the Tomb of Emperor Een. Oh, Luli's interest was piqued. If there was a patrol team there, then it would be absolutely safe. Who would dare to make a move under the watchful eyes of the patrol team? That would be courting death. The tomb had just been discovered. Many patterns in the hall might not have been cracked yet. If Blood Fairy could crack some patterns in the hall, that would be enough for him to live for hundreds of years. Good. This is for you. Luli threw 100 celestial stones to the waiter and asked him to bring him a map. Luli decided to go there. With the patrol team there, he felt safe. Soon, the waiter brought over a map with the tomb of Emperor Een circled out. Luli waved the waiter away. The waiter left with respect and then went to another private room where an old man was sitting. He was a powerful warrior of the four-armed race. Lord, everything is done, the waiter said with a smile. Well done. Take it. Patriarch 16 of the four-armed race threw out an interspatial ring. The waiter was overjoyed to see that there were 5,000 celestial stones in the ring. He thanked Luli and left. Luli left the tavern after he was full. He did not rest. Instead, he went to another tavern. He asked around and was sure that the tomb of Emperor Een did exist. Recently, many powerful warriors in the city had gone there. The tomb of Emperor Een was far away. Luli wanted to go there as soon as possible. He was afraid that all the good stuff would be taken away. Therefore, he did not linger. He left the city at once. Patriarch 16 stood behind the window of the tavern. He looked at Luli's back with a sneer and murmured, the tomb of Emperor Een is indeed a place of treasure, but not everyone can go there. Punk, you will die in the tomb of Emperor Een. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 3029. The tomb of Emperor Een was quite popular recently. Luli found the tomb in the Kuan Mausoleum. When it was dug up, the sky was lit up and the scene was astonishing. Emperor Een was a famous warrior who had passed away more than 100,000 years ago, but his tomb had never been discovered. The latest to arrive were some powerful warriors from the Black Tortoise City. They happened to be passing by, and one of them was a saint emperor, but 5 of them went in. In the end, only one of them at the peak of the great emperor realm made it out. The others all died in there. This caused a sensation at the Black Tortoise City. Usually, the more powerful the runes in the tomb, the more powerful the owner and the more treasures there were. A large number of powerful warriors hurried over. It was confirmed that the owner of the tomb was the Asmodean Emperor Een. This old devil was the nightmare of many clans. Compared to him, Bone devils were completely insignificant. He was a real hero. Back in the days, he was brave enough to fight against the 33 races. Emperor Een was different from Emperor Kuan. Emperor Kuan was on good terms with the Desolate race. The Desolate race ordered disciples of the 33 races not to go in. Therefore, none of the 33 races went in to hunt for treasures. Emperor Een was different. After the tomb of Emperor Een was discovered, many powerful warriors of the 33 races were sent out. But almost all of them were of the younger generation. This was the norm. The races would let the younger generation go in to hunt for treasures, giving them a chance to gain experience. What kind of treasures did the 33 races not have? What kind of elixirs? The 33 races were not in need of anything. They were not interested in Emperor Yin's treasures. They would give them to the younger generation. It took Lu Li more than half a month to get here. As he approached the outer area, he noticed that there were warriors everywhere. Powerful warriors were hiding in many places. Lu Li didn't approach rashly. He hid nearby and saw a winter iron warship patrolling in the distance. That was a patrol team. With the warship patrolling nearby, no warriors dared to do anything. Anyone that dared to do anything would be killed immediately. So many alien races. There must be at least thousands. Lu Li sensed that there were at least thousands of warriors hiding nearby. Many great emperors and saint emperors were not seen. The classification of levels in the desolate universe was the same as the three heavens. But many races had different names. Still, great emperors were great emperors and saint emperors were saint emperors. There was a fundamental difference, so it was easy to tell. Why are they not going in? What do you mean by lurking outside? Lu Li could not figure it out. He wandered around and noticed that there were warriors lurking around the mountain where the tomb of Emperor Een was located. There were many on the mountain as well. But those on the mountain were stronger. Only those of the great emperor realm could go up. After waiting for a moment, the mountain suddenly shook and a multicolored light sprayed out. The martial artists who were hiding in the surroundings instantly went berserk. All of them soared into the sky and rushed towards that multicolored light. It can spit out treasures? Lu Li used psychic power to check. There were at least hundreds of elixirs, weapons, and materials in the glow. Over 10,000 martial artists flew up to snatch those treasures. Since it was a robbery, there would naturally be conflicts and impulsiveness. Many cultivators almost started fighting. A cold snort came from the Frost Iron warship. All the martial artists immediately restrained themselves and very amicably divided up these hundreds of treasures. It was like trying to put out a cart of firewood with a cup of water. Lu Li could not figure out why they didn't go in when he saw tens of thousands of people fighting for hundreds of treasures. After thinking for a while, he quietly snuck up the mountain and began to scan the mountain with his spiritual will. Soon, he found the source of the problem. There were many divine glyphs on the mountain, and powerful warriors were building them. The mountain was covered in mist. When Lu Li arrived at the foot of the mountain, the mist was so thick that he could not even use psychic power. Disciples of the 33 major races. Lu Li understood now. The tomb of Emperor Een must have been occupied by powerful warriors of the 33 races. They did not take any actions. They were just building divine glyphs. Those who dare to go up would be strangled to death by the divine glyphs. Taking the initiative to attack and challenging the divine inscriptions were two completely different concepts. If one was not as skilled as others and could not crack the divine glyphs, and if one wanted to take the risk despite being weak, one would have no one to blame when one died. Of course, both initiating and passive killing were crimes. That being said, the rules were set by the 33 races, and the law enforcers were powerful warriors of the 33 races. Who could say anything? Who dared to do anything? The dominance of the 33 races was manifesting itself in an imperceptible way. Lu Li was not frightened. He had nothing to be afraid of as long as they did not take action. There were so many eyes here, and the warship of the law enforcement team was here. Who dared to kill him in public? What was more, he had the sacred mountain, which was strong. Not even Saint Kings could kill him. Lu Li sneaked up the mountain. As long as he could go in and ask Blood Fairy to crack the divine glyphs in one of the halls, he could leave after making some money. By then, he could settle down at the Black Tortoise City. The divine glyphs on the mountain were not a big deal. Luli sent Blood Fairy out. He did not even need to crack the divine glyphs. Blood Fairy could guide him. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, Luli made it to the top. What? There were some powerful warriors from different races at the top, and they were all young. They were confused to see Luli coming up so easily. Are you from the Dai family? A man with a head full of golden hair, who looked like a lion, glanced at them and asked. Luli did not answer. He stood there with pride and glanced around. The more humble he was, the more likely he would get himself into trouble. Since others were sure that he was from the Dai family, he did not deny it. I don't think there is anyone in the Dai family. Is he a hidden warrior of the Dai family? I think so. He is young, and he can crack the divine glyphs so easily without making a sound. He must be a warrior trained in secret. Several powerful warriors murmured. Luli paid no attention to them. He swaggered toward a hole at the top of the mountain. There were 3 holes here. 2 of them were made by nature. They must be the holes for spewing out treasures. One was excavated, and he was walking towards the excavated cave. The cave was deep, and he could not see the bottom, but he could sense that there were many powerful warriors in there. Seeing that nobody was going to stop him, Luli flew down and went deeper. As he flew deeper into the cave, his spiritual force soon discovered a large hall at the bottom of the cave. There were over 100 warriors in the hall, sitting on different sides. There were dozens of doors here as well. Many of them had been broken down. As Luli landed, many people were looking at him. Luli glanced over and saw a familiar face. Lady Li was here. What? There were 3 warriors of the wild race standing next to Lady Li. The other 2 were Saint Emperors. Lady Li was surprised to see Luli. She snorted and said, "How dare you come in here? You must be tired of living." "You are finally in." A warrior covered in a black robe glanced at Luli. His eyes were filled with coldness. When the Red Dragon race in the corner saw Luli, their eyes lit up. They were happy. "Human," a voice was heard. In a corner, a young master in a luxurious robe frowned. Then, he walked toward Luli with a beautiful lady. Young master and lady of the Dai family? Luli noticed the man and lady. They were both humans, which made him feel a sense of familiarity. However, the condescending look in the young master's eyes made Luli feel uneasy. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 30:30. The young master was handsome, and the young lady was pretty. But the pride in their bones made Luli uncomfortable. He felt they were eagles in the sky, and the others were puny ants on the ground. The young master and young lady of the Dai family walked over. The young master glanced at Luli. He was about the same height as Luli, but Luli felt the young master was looking down at him. The young master asked, "What is your name? Where are you from? Why haven't we seen you before?" The young master's tone was calm, but Luli felt he was being interrogated. Luli's temperament had changed. He was enraged, but he managed to swallow it down. He said, "I am Luli, and I am from a small universe. I have just arrived at the infinite region not long ago. What can I do for you?" From a small universe? Dai Gongzi seemed to have expected this. He waved his hand and said, "Almost all the humans in the desolate universe have come to the Dai family. Do you want to join us? We will guarantee you a life of prosperity and splendor." Luli sneered and said, "I am sorry, but I like to be alone. I don't like to be someone else's dog." Bah! The young master of the Dai family was enraged. "You want to be a dog, and we have to see if we want you? Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like this?" This young master of the Dai family was at the peak of the great emperor realm. He might be younger than Luli. Naturally, he was arrogant. Luli, a young emperor from small universe, was beaming at him. "Ha ha ha," Luli said with arrogance. "I am not a dog. I'm just a human. You don't even deserve to be a human. What are you looking at? Do you want to fight? Come and bite me if you have the guts. You are just a piece of trash that relies on your family to do evil deeds." Courting death, the young master of the Dai family was enraged. He was filled with murderous intent. A long sword appeared in his hand. It was a holy weapon. He used it and was about to attack Luli. A Saint King next to Lady Li suddenly snorted. His voice was like a clap of thunder in the young master of the Dai family. The young lady of the Dai family grabbed his arm and said, "Brother you, this is the celestial realm." Phew, phew. The young master of the Dai family took a deep breath. He glared at Lu Li and said, "Stay in the flying immortal realm for the rest of your life if you can. If you dare to come out, I will kill you in an instant. I'll stay here for the rest of my life. I'll piss you off." Lu Li answered slowly. Young Master Dai staggered and almost fell. The younger generation of the various races in the vicinity immediately roared with laughter. Young Master Dai was usually like this, and many powerhouses had long been displeased with him. Lu Li paid no more attention to this young Master Dai. He began to look around. He noticed a powerful warrior sitting outside many gates. They must be working on the inhibition formations. Buzz. After waiting for a moment, the door on the left suddenly flashed and opened silently. The powerhouses guarding outside immediately rushed in with joy. After entering, the door slammed shut with a loud bang. After that, a divine imprint lit up. Clearly, it was set up by the expert who broke the formation, and he didn't want others to enter. Hee. Lu Li smiled. He found a door and pretended to crack the formation. Blood Fairy had already snuck into his body to solve the runes. "Master, this is not a difficult one. I can crack it in a day and a half," Blood Fairy said. Lu Li replied, "When you are about to crack it, don't rush. Set up some runes first to stop others from coming in. Do you understand?" "No problem." Blood Fairy went to work at once. Lu Li pretended to observe from the outside. Every now and then, he would pour out Xian energy. It seemed that he was cracking the formation. Soon, a day and a half passed. Blood Fairy said on time, "Master, it is done. I have set up a formation of entrapment and destruction as well." "Okay, let's go," Lu Li said. The door glowed and opened quietly. Many people looked over in shock. Lu Li was such a young country bumpkin, and he was only at the minor emperor realm. It took him only a day and a half to crack a door. For many powerful warriors, it would take them at least 10 days to half a month to crack a door. Whoosh! Lu Li did not care about that. He dashed in. He did not close the door, but there came out a thick white mist. Clearly, there was a formation. Whoosh! As soon as Lu Li went in, the black-robed man walked toward him and then forced his way into the white mist. Boom, boom, boom. From the white mist came some noises. Clearly, there was a formation of destruction. However, the black-robed man never came out. Lu Li could not tell if he had gone in or was killed. "Let's go." The two Saint Kings of the Red Dragon race looked at each other and dashed in as well. With a loud noise, the two Saint Kings disappeared as well. "What?" Lady Li frowned. She said to a Saint King of the Wild race next to her, "Patriarch D, is something wrong? Should we go in and have a look?" "I don't think so." Patriarch D said, "At the very most, they're going to take treasures. They will not kill. I think they know what they are doing." "That is true," Lady Li nodded. The two Red Dragon race patriarchs and that old Asmodean went in right in front of them. If Lu Li were to die, they would have to bear the blame. The Wild race had a special skill that made it easy to track down the culprit. For example, if the two Red Dragon race patriarchs were to act recklessly, they would be dead for sure. The Red Dragon race would not dare to protect them either. The rules set by the 33 races was not to be violated by any powerful warrior. If there was no evidence, it would be fine. But if there was evidence, then everyone would have to die. The rule was not only the rules set by the 33 races, but also the dignity of the Wild race. Breaking the rule was the greatest provocation to the Wild race. Under the watchful eyes of all the powerful warriors of the various races, they saw the two Red Dragon race patriarchs and that old Asmodean go in. If Lu Li were to die, it would be the fault of the three powerful warriors. "Master, Blood Fairy sensed the three powerful warriors going in. She said, 3 powerful warriors have come in. They should all be Saint Kings." A glint of coldness flashed in Lu Li's eyes. Powerful warriors had come in, and they had even forced their way through the formation of destruction and confinement. Naturally, The three of them were up to no good. Blood Fairy, can you set up a stronger formation of destruction and kill the three of them? Since there were powerful warriors up to no good, Luli would not be too kind. After all, these powerful warriors broke in by themselves. It was not their fault if they died. It will be difficult to kill a Saint King, Blood Fairy said. Then she added, also, I need time to set up the divine patterns. The stronger the divine patterns, the longer it takes. But they are about to come in. Buzzing, Luli took out the sacred mountain and entered it. At the same time, he flew along a corridor. It was not easy to open the door to the hall. The treasures inside must be in his hands first. Chapter 30-31. There was a long corridor here. Luli flew for the time for one incense stick to burn before he reached the end. Inside was a small hall. There was nothing in the small hall except for two doors. Clearly, there were inhibition formations on the door. Luli had Blood Fairy control the holy mountain to block the door and then told her to crack the other two doors. The sacred mountain was of a medium size, just enough to block the door. If the warriors behind wanted to come in, they must knock the sacred mountain back. But could an ordinary Saint Emperor repel the Saint Mountain? What was more, if they did, they would create a loud noise. By then, all the powerful warriors outside would hear it, and the wild race would be alerted. Blood Fairy tried to solve the formation as fast as she could, while Luli tried to sense when the other powerful warriors would arrive. What surprised him was, after the time for 3 incense sticks to burn, not a single one came. He was a little puzzled. Were these experts lost? Or was Blood Fairy wrong? Blood Fairy would not make a mistake, and the warriors would not lose their way. What was the problem then? Luli could not figure it out. He had to wait. After 6 hours, Blood Fairy said, Master, a door is open. It had been 6 hours, but the warriors behind had not come. Luli could not figure it out. He asked Blood Fairy, but she was sure that some powerful warriors had come. Never mind. Luli dashed out and walked into the hall. He took a look and was surprised. We are rich. The elixirs here must be worth 100,000 celestial stones. There must be hundreds of thousands of elixirs piled up like a mountain. The quality of the elixirs here was similar to what he got from the Kuan Emperor's tomb, but the quantity was much higher. In other words, there must be at least 100,000 celestial stones. Luli asked Blood Fairy to crack the inhibition formations. A strong aroma spread out. Luli put away all the elixirs at once. Exposing them to the air would disperse the efficacy. Putting away the elixir, Luli returned to the sacred mountain to monitor the situation outside. He asked Blood Fairy to decipher other runes. It took him 6 hours to crack the inhibition formations. The 3 powerful warriors never showed up. Luli could not figure it out. He left it to another side hall, and it was a divine medicine. The main hall here was also filled with divine herbs, and the quantity was similar to the other side. This meant that the divine herbs here were also worth 100,000 celestial stones. He came in to take a look and obtained 200,000 celestial stones. Luli had achieved his goal. He didn't want the other treasures, not even the holy weapon. All Huang Xiaolong wanted to do was to return to Black Warrior City to buy a courtyard and cultivate in peace for a few years. Get out! Luli entered the sacred mountain, and so did Blood Fairy. The sacred mountain shrank and flew forward slowly. Buzz! After flying for a while, the space in front of them suddenly lit up. Following that, black smoke rose from the ground and enveloped the Saint Mountain. Then, the Saint Mountain actually stopped moving. That's right, the sacred mountain actually stopped moving. Luli and Blood Fairy could not believe this. The sacred mountain was powerful. How come it was not moving? He was trapped by some black fog. Divine inscription formation. At this moment, Luli finally understood why those powerful warriors did not show up. They did not go in. Instead, they were building a divine inscription formation outside, trying to trap Luli. The divine inscription formation was so strong that it could even contain the sacred mountain. Luli found it hard to believe. A moment later, he faintly sensed 2 people outside the formation. The Red Dragon race. Luli could faintly sense the energy of the red dragon race. The energy of dragons was strong. Luli was confused. He had never offended the red dragon race. Why were they here to trap him? Blood Fairy, go and see what kind of formation it is. At Luli's order, Blood Fairy flew down. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, she came back. She was extremely weak. She said, "Master, the smoke outside is toxic. I cannot stand it. This is not a formation, but a powerful, holy weapon." "What?" Luli was taken aback. He said after a moment of hesitation, "We have collected so many divine herbs. See if there is any that you need to consume. Go and replenish your energy." Okay. Blood Fairy snuck into Luli's interspatial ring to look for herbs that were suitable for her. Luli used a trace of doubt to sense what was going on outside. After a moment of silence, he shouted, "My friends from the Red Dragon race? We have no quarrel. Why are you targeting me? By releasing the holy weapon, you are attacking me, right? Are you going to ignore the agreement of the 33 races? Aren't you afraid that the wild race will come after you?" Outside the dark haze were two patriarchs of the Red Dragon race. Hearing Luli's words, one of them said with a smile, "It is true that the 33 races have an agreement that we cannot initiate an attack. But did we initiate an attack? We released the holy weapon here. Who are you to blame for barging in? We have recorded what happened just now. You controlled the mountain to fly over. You are attacking us." "Shameless," Luli cursed. From the perspective of the two red dragons, it was true that he was the one controlling the sacred mountain. It looked like he was the one attacking. The agreement of the 33 races was rigid. Naturally, there would be loopholes. If this matter was brought to the adjudicator hall, even if they were to be punished, the two patriarchs would not be sentenced to death. The Red Dragon race was, after all, one of the 33 races. The wild race did not dare to go overboard. Otherwise, it would make the other races feel that they were too overbearing. If that happened, the other races would gang up on them, and the wild race would be wiped out. Luli pondered for a moment before shouting out again, "If the two of you want the treasures in here, I can give them to you. I have hundreds of thousands of divine herbs in here. I will give them all to you. How about that?" "Divine herbs? Of course we want them," the Red Dragon Patriarch said with a smile. "But this mountain of yours is not bad. Give it to me together, and I will spare your life." "Dream on." Luli flatly refused. If he lost the sacred mountain, he would lose his greatest support. Although the sacred mountain was under their control, he was unharmed. If he were to hand over the sacred mountain, who knew if the two old fools would kill him? He sneered and said, "Since we can't come to an agreement, then let's not talk. If you have the ability to break the sacred mountain, then we will talk." "Ha ha ha." The Red Dragon Patriarch laughed and said, "Do you know what this holy weapon is called? This is the treasure of our race, the infernal prison. The black fog is poisonous. Your mountain is strong in defense, but the poisonous fog can seep in bit by bit. Once it completely seeps in, you will die. Back then, the Cauldron King of our race used the infernal prison to kill a holy warrior that was close to the consummation. Do you think you can survive it?" The Cauldron King was Ao Ding. The infernal prison was the treasure that made Ao Ding famous. Since Ao Ding had promised sacred ancestor Tian, he would think of a way. He was the one who lent the infernal prison to the two Red Dragon Patriarchs. His goal was to kill Luli and take the sacred mountain. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 3032. Master, some energy is seeping in through the sacred mountain's defensive runes. Blood Fairy's words confirmed the Red Dragon Warrior's words. The energy was seeping in slowly, but it was indeed seeping in. The Patriarch of the Red Dragon race would not lie, which meant that the poisonous fog was strong. It was true that the poison could kill a warrior that was close to the completion of the Holy Realm. Luli was panicking. The poisonous fog had not seeped in yet. In 2 hours at most, the poisonous fog would be here. What should he do by then? Luli began to think of a way out. But what could he do if the sacred mountain was being suppressed? He would be suppressed as soon as he went out. If a warrior that was close to the completion of the Holy King realm could be poisoned to death. What could he do? Luli had gone through all the methods he could think of, but still, there was nothing he could do. In this kind of situation, no matter how he screamed, there was no response from the heavens and earth. Time moved on. Soon, 2 hours had passed. The toxic air was still spreading. More than half of the holy mountain was covered in toxic fog. Luli could fly up for a while, but he could not run away forever. I will stay here. I want to see if the poisonous fog can kill me. Luli made up his mind. He could not run away anyway. He had to see if the poisonous fog was strong. The poisonous fog spread up slowly. Soon, it reached Luli. The poisonous fog swarmed toward Luli like a hungry wolf that saw a lamb. The poisonous fog entered Luli's body through his pores. Luli turned pale after he sensed it. Like tiny worms, the poisonous mist split into strands that spread throughout his body and entered his soul. The poisonous fog did not attack him. Instead, it took root in his body and became one with his muscles, blood, bone marrow, and soul. It cannot be separated. Then, the poisonous fog began to suck away the energy in Luli's body, his soul, and his life essence. It could absorb any kind of energy, but it was slow. Bone maggots, slow-acting poison. Luli noticed that the dragon soul did not react. It was proof of how horrifying the poisonous fog was. It was nibbling away at one's energy, one's life force, and one's soul bit by bit. The chi and energy in Luli's body were weakening. He was sickly as if he had lost all his strength. At this moment, not much of the toxic mist had come in. Soon, more and more of it would pour in. His energy, his blood essence, his life force, and his soul would be devoured bit by bit. By that time, he would probably only be left with a layer of skin. Perhaps not even his skin would be left, only some hair. Luli didn't want to die like this. He tried his best to think of a way to expel the poisonous fog out. He sat cross-legged on the ground and gathered all the energy and soul power in his body to counterattack. He gathered a large amount of energy and tried to squeeze out the poisonous mist. It was just that his energy couldn't expel the poisonous mist because it was like a slippery little loach. His energy couldn't envelop that energy at all. So how could he expel it? Most importantly, Luli discovered something else. The poisonous mist could even corrode the energy he gathered. It was like trying to wrap a piece of paper around a flame. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't wrap it up. As time went on, more and more poisonous mist came out of Luli's body. He was getting weaker and weaker. It was as if he had been paralyzed. He didn't even have the strength to lift his hands. I think I'm going to die here. Luli exhaled. Death was not scary, but he wasn't sure if the 4 sacred ancestors were dead. If they all died in the infinite, desolate universe, then his death would be worth it. Luli was getting weaker and weaker. His consciousness was blurring as well. Too much of his life force had been devoured. He couldn't even move a finger. Buzzing. Right at that moment, the divine chains in Luli's land of magic glowed and rushed out to protect him. The divine chains of magic would come out to protect Luli when his life force was depleted. The divine chains of magic was moving around in Luli's body like a golden python. Everywhere the divine chains of magic moved, Luli's life force would recover. What? Luli was taken aback. Could the divine chains of magic drive away the poisonous mist? He checked his body at once, only to be disappointed. The divine chains of magic could not drive away the poisonous mist. They could only help him recover his life force. The poisonous mist was too horrifying. It could not be destroyed or driven away. Wait, right at that moment, Luli remembered something. Last time, the land of magic seemed to have absorbed energy from the pond and produced some drops of purple divinity liquid. Could he control the land of magic to suck the poisonous mist in? No matter what would happen to the land of magic, at the very least, the poisonous mist would not harm his body and soul. Previously, Luli thought that the land of magic could absorb energy, and this was poisonous mist. They were two different things. Therefore, he didn't think about this. Now, the divine chains of magic reminded him. However, Luli could not use his origin energy to generate a swirl. How could he absorb the poisonous mist? Pond. Luli's eyes glowed. The holy mountain had been restored for a long time. There should be some energy in the pond now. He slammed his hand on the ground with difficulty. Then his body tumbled into the heaven lake. As soon as Luli got into the pond, a swirl came into being in the land of magic. The swirl began to draw energy from the pond into the land of magic. Nice! Luli sensed it and was overjoyed. As the swirl moved, the energy in the pond, the toxic fog in his body, and even the toxic fog in the pond were all sucked into the Dharma realm. Bit by bit, the poisonous fog in Lu Li's body was led into the Dharma realm. However, the poisonous fog did not merge with the energy in the pond. Instead, there was a clear distinction between the poisonous fog and the energy in the pond. This is good. Luli didn't care if the land of magic was in trouble. He had to save his life first. If he could not absorb the poisonous mist, he would die for sure. But if he could, his body would be fine. An hour later, Luli noticed that the poisonous mist in his body had disappeared. Nothing was left. All of it had been absorbed into the land of magic. He sat with his legs crossed and took out some elixirs to heal his weakened body. Only in this way could he cope with changes. 2 hours, half a day. The patriarchs of the Red Dragon race were surprised. It had been a long time. How come Lu Li was still alive? Strong as the holy mountain was, they could still sense Lu Li's presence. Lu Li was still breathing. He was not dead. Is it because of the mountain? The two patriarchs could not figure it out, especially the one in charge of the infernal prison. He could tell that the poisonous mist had entered the holy mountain. How come Lu Li was still alive? He did not know. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. Chapter 3033. 5 days. 5 days had passed, and Lu Li was still alive. The two Red Dragon Race patriarchs could not figure it out. They sensed that Lu Li's life was vigorous, and there was no sign of poisoning. Naturally, Lu Li was not poisoned since all the poisonous fog was absorbed by the realm of magic. The poisonous fog did not stay in his body and entered the realm of magic directly. It did not cause much harm to his body. Lu Li was not only absorbing the poisonous fog in his body. Due to the strong suction force of the swirl in the realm of magic, the realm of magic was actively absorbing the poisonous fog from outside. Lu Li checked for 5 days. The realm of magic did not change much after absorbing the poisonous fog for 5 days. The realm of magic was like a furnace that could absorb any kind of energy and melt it down. The furnace itself was not affected at all. The realm of magic was the purest energy in the pond. After the realm of magic refined it, there were 3 drops of purple divine liquid. What would come out of the prison of magic after the poisonous fog was melted down? Lu Li did not know, but he had a feeling that it would not be anything good. Since I am fine after taking in so much poisonous fog, why don't I take in more? Lu Li made up his mind. He asked Blood Fairy to turn off some glyphs in the mountain and let in more poisonous fog. Lu Li was looking forward to it. Would the realm of magic produce some drops of poisonous liquid after absorbing more poisonous fog? On the other hand, Lu Li wanted to destroy the holy weapon as well. The poisonous fog was the holy weapon's means of attack. Would the realm of magic break down after absorbing all the poisonous fog? Would it be unable to keep the mountain under control? What? The two Red Dragon Race patriarchs were overjoyed to find that the poisonous fog was surging into the mountain faster. They had thought that the mountain's defense had been eroded by the poisonous fog and could no longer withstand the poisonous fog. If that was the case, then Lu Li would probably die soon. The prison of magic was a piece of treasure. Ao Ding used this holy weapon to kill a Saint King who was close to the completion of the universe. That Saint King was refined to death, which caused a sensation in the universe of Infinite Star. Ao Ding became famous after that battle and became one of the most powerful warriors in the universe of Infinite Star. A holy weapon that could kill a Saint King who was close to the completion of the universe of Infinite Star could not kill a warrior of the Emperor Realm? The two Red Dragon Race patriarchs were not convinced. Soon, another 5 days passed. The two Red Dragons were dumbfounded. Lu Li was still alive. Not only did he not die, but his life force became more and more vigorous. That's not the point. More importantly, the Grand Elder who controlled the Devil Penitentiary had discovered that this supreme sacred weapon had become very weak, and it seemed like there were signs of problems. A large amount of poisonous fog was absorbed by Lu Li. Not even holy weapons could release poisonous fog endlessly, not to mention that this was no ordinary poisonous fog. Hence, the saint weapon was clearly becoming weaker. If this continued, the saint weapon might even have problems. Why is this happening? The two patriarchs could not figure it out. They didn't believe that Lu Li could do this. They had to attribute it to this strange mountain. Forget it. Don't let anything happen to Devil Prison. One elder said worriedly. Another elder shook his head and said, "What problem could there be? Could he destroy the Devil Prison? We have already taken a huge risk this time. If the desolate race were to pursue the matter, we would all be punished. Since we have done it, we should go all the way. If not, there will not be another chance. If this brat doesn't come out from the city, how can I kill him? How are we going to answer to the Cauldron Sovereign?" The other elders said nothing. What Lu Li said was right. Lu Li must have acquired many elixirs in there. He could easily buy a house in the Black Tortoise City. Lu Li had alerted the enemy. He might not come out after he went back. Time moved on. 3 days later, the two patriarchs gave up completely. The poisonous fog in the Devil Prison had thinned out. At this rate, even the saint weapon would be damaged. Buzzing, the patriarch put away the saint weapon. The two looked at each other, made up their minds, and dashed forward. They were ready to risk it all and were ready to strike. Previously, they had set up a divine rune so that no one outside could sense what was going on. Therefore, if they could kill Lu Li, they could leave no evidence behind. When the Red Dragon family patriarch showed up, the two might be locked up for a period of time. For warriors at their age, tens of thousands of years could pass by in a blink of an eye. Boom, boom, boom. The two patriarchs began to move. Their attacks were ferocious. The sacred mountain suffered a heavy blow. Yet, not only did it not crack, it didn't even fall back. It only trembled. Lu Li was alarmed. He used psychic power to check. He snorted and said, "Are you showing your true colors? The saint weapon is useless now. You want to break the sacred mountain? You wish." Years ago, several saint emperors failed to crack the sacred mountain. Now, 2 saint emperors wanted to do it. Lu Li did not believe it. The 2 Red Dragon patriarchs' attacks were ferocious. Even the divine runes on the wall were glowing and shaking. If it were not for the fact that they had set up the divine runes, Lady Li and the others would have been alerted. An hour passed. After blasting for an entire hour, the holy mountain was safe and sound. The expressions of the 2 saint emperors became somewhat ugly, but they were secretly a little excited. Was this mountain really that strong? It must be a saint weapon of the same level as the Inferno. If they could come down, then the Red Dragon race would have another piece of treasure. Keep going. The 2 saint emperors did not believe this and were prepared to continuously attack for a few months. They did not believe that the energy in the sacred mountain was endless. As long as the energy in the sacred mountain was exhausted, the sacred mountain could be broken. There were many treasures here. But the 2 Red Dragon patriarchs were not interested in the other treasures except for this one. Another 5 days passed. The sacred mountain was still standing. But at this moment, the sacred mountain moved. It flew toward the corridor like a sharp sword. You want to run? A glint of coldness rose in the 2 patriarchs' eyes. They had set up the divine runes. How could the sacred mountain fly away? If Lu Li came out, the 2 patriarchs could kill him easily. Soon, they were wrong. The divine runes they had set up glowed. Then a ray of red light flew out from the ground and into the sacred mountain. Lu Li did not move for several days. Not because he could not move or because of the venom. He was waiting for a blood fairy to crack the formation. She had sensed the divine runes. He wanted to fly the sacred mountain out of the tomb of Emperine and back to the Black Tortoise City. Boom! 3 miles later, the sacred mountain suddenly bumped into a wall of air. The mountain slowed down as if it had fallen into a swamp. It was difficult to move. There are more divine runes? Lu Li was puzzled. He did not expect that the 2 Red Dragon patriarchs had set up a second line of defense. What? The 2 Red Dragon patriarchs that were chasing after Lu Li were surprised as well. They did not set up the divine runes. That old man. The two red dragon patriarchs came back to their senses. One of them came in before them. They had thought that the old man was in front of them. They did not expect that the old man was hiding and had set up the divine runes behind them. Please remember the domain name of this book. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 3034. The rune was indeed built by this demon. He was hired by the Four-Armed Race, a famous demon in the underground world. The Four-Armed Race paid a great price to hire this demon. In return, they got Lu Li's body and the Sacred Mountain. The Four-Armed Race didn't care about the Sacred Mountain. They only wanted Lu Li dead. As long as they could kill Lu Li, the demon would be rewarded handsomely. The fact that they intercepted Lu Li at the Celestial Realm was known. The Four-Armed Race could not afford to lose face. Therefore, they had to wash away this humiliation. They had to kill Sacred Ancestor Tian and Sacred Ancestor Yun as well. But they could not do so in the Crimson Dragon Realm. If the two Sacred Ancestors dared to come out, they would do it as well. Shout Mo. This was the demon's nickname. He was famous in the underground world, but nobody had ever seen his face. He took on difficult missions. His completion rate was as high as 90%. Last time, Xiao Mo took on a mission to kill a patriarch of the 33 races. He spent 3 years to assassinate the patriarch and became famous. That big clan sent out many experts and used a lot of power, but they couldn't find any information about the Xiao Devil. Nobody knew who Xiao Mo was or where he was. Even if he showed up in front of that race, they wouldn't be able to recognize him. That was the terror of Xiao Mo. His disguise was unparalleled. Nobody could find him. He was the only one who could find you. It was easy to find him, but if he took a mission, you wouldn't be able to see him. The Sacred Mountain crashed into the air wall as if it was stuck in a quagmire. He didn't let Blood Fairy out right away. Blood Fairy was weak. He didn't know what was out there. If she died, then he wouldn't be able to control the rune on the Sacred Mountain. By then, he would have to die as well. He activated the mark of the Great Path to sense the situation around him. After doing so, he was immediately shocked. He sensed that he was in a strange world. It was chaos. He could not sense the walls around him, nor could he sense the scenery around him. He could only sense chaos. What is this formation? It's amazing, Lu Li exclaimed. He knew there were many races and strange skills in the Infinite region. Today, he finally saw it. The corridor was small, but he couldn't sense the walls or the floor. It was strange. Are there martial artists? Lu Li sensed a trace of life in the chaos. The powerful warrior must be in there. However, he felt that it was very indistinct. That life aura was erratic, and he couldn't pinpoint its specific location. Xiao, the two elders of the Crimson Dragon race, walked towards the air wall. They sensed for a moment, and their eyes lit up. One of them shouted, "Chaos Array, is that the Xiao Devil inside?" Aochi. A low voice came from within the air wall. It was also very fleeting. Don't worry about my business. After I'm done, I'll naturally leave. You can leave too. Deal with. The two grand elders glanced at each other. Aoyu said in a deep voice, I don't care if you want to kill the human brat, but that mountain must belong to my race. You want this mountain? The ethereal voice sounded again. It's not impossible. You can use your tribe's Crimson Dragon Immortal Herb to exchange for it. I'll give you this mountain later. Scarlet Dragon Immortal Grass? 100? Aoyu was taken aback for a moment before he sneered and said, Aren't you indulging in fantasy? Do you know how precious my race's immortal herbs are? How many celestial stones is one stalk worth? You want 100 stalks? Dream on. Then there's nothing to talk about. The Xiao Devil's voice turned cold. You can either break into my chaos array and snatch it yourselves, or you can shut up. You are courting death. Aoyu was infuriated. He shouted, Xiao Devil, you have offended many big races over the years. Now that you have exposed your identity, are you sure you can leave safely? You don't have to worry about my business. The Xiao Devil replied indifferently. I just want to say one thing. Back then, the Heavenly Bone race wanted to kill me, but I killed 16 of their elders. If your Crimson Dragon race wants to try, I can accept it. Such arrogance. Aou and Ao Chi were infuriated. Their Crimson Dragon race had never been threatened like this before, let alone an old devil. Did this Xiao devil really think he was the Emperor Yin or Emperor Cohen? Swish! Aou and Ao Chi looked at each other before they charged towards the air wall. However, after the time for half an incense stick to burn, the chaos array didn't show any signs of movement. Instead, the two of them flew out, spitting out blood, and their faces were pale. The chaos array really lives up to its name. Aou clenched his teeth and sat down with his legs crossed. He shouted, "All right, Xiao Devil, we the Crimson Dragon race will get revenge for this. You are welcome anytime." The Xiao Devil replied coldly, "But I have said it. If your race dares to make a move, then be prepared to be killed by me." Aou and Ao Chi didn't say anything else. They would only humiliate themselves if they said anything more. They had to wait until they got out of here before reporting this to their race. Luli couldn't see what was going on outside, but he could sense something from the inside. He noticed that Aou and Ao Chi came in and the chaos around them started to move. It was as if there were invisible swords stabbing at them from all directions. Though the swords didn't cause any physical damage to the two, their internal organs and souls were injured. The attack was powerful and sharp. "It's your turn." The Xiao Devil's voice was heard. "I will give you two choices. First, come out and come with me to a place. It's your luck whether you live or die. Second, I will take your body out. Even though there are a law enforcement team and powerful warriors of the wild race outside, I can still escape. Do you believe me?" The Xiao Devil's words were calm and confident. Luli felt that the Xiao Devil could do it. But Luli chose to believe in the defense of the Sacred Mountain. The Sacred Mountain could even withstand soul attacks. He didn't believe that the Xiao Devil could break the defense of the Sacred Mountain. "I choose the second option." As soon as Luli finished his words, the chaos around him began to move. Then, many streaks of swords stabbed into the mountain. What happened next shocked Luli. Those streaks of swords penetrated the defensive patterns on the mountain and reached him in an instant. How? Luli was taken aback. This Xiao Devil was freakish. He could ignore any kind of defense. Roar! Luli released Dragon Transformation, Origin Energy Armor, Dragon Wrestling, and Heaven Armor at once. But as soon as the swords entered his body, he felt the threat of death. His powerful defense was like a thin sheet of paper that was easily pierced through. The sword intent began to attack his internal organs and soul. "Okay, I have changed my mind. I choose the first option. I will go with you." In a split second, Luli shouted. He was not a coward. He was sure that if he didn't shout, he would die the next second. The Xiao Devil was freakishly strong. Luli could not stand it. There was a 90% chance that he would die if he went with the Xiao Devil. But there was still a chance of survival. If he didn't, he would die right away. "You are asking for humiliation." The Xiao Devil emerged and said coldly, "Come out and leave the realm of flying immortals with me. Don't do anything or the strand of swords left in your soul will kill you instantly." Please remember this book's domain name. Third Master's mobile version. Chapter 3035. Most of the sword intent was gone, but there was one strand of sword intent left in his soul. It was a powerful one. Luli believed that if he were to do anything rash, his soul would collapse in an instant. Therefore, Luli walked out obediently. Of course, as soon as he came out, he put away the holy mountain. Xiaomo looked on coldly. He did not stop Luli. He took out a small pagoda and said, "To avoid unnecessary trouble, I think you should go into my interspatial artifact. Don't worry, I'm only here on someone's request. Just come with me, and I will hand you over to them. I will leave you alone. Before that, you will be safe as long as you don't act rashly." Xiao and Mo held up the pagoda and stared at Luli, waiting for his decision. Luli had no other choice but to fly toward the pagoda. The pagoda glowed, and Luli was taken in. Buzzing, the formation of primordial chaos disappeared. The two red dragon patriarchs were upset to see that Luli and the holy mountain were gone. It didn't matter if Luli was dead or alive. What mattered was the mountain. Ao Ding had specifically asked for the mountain. The two patriarchs knew that the mountain was a holy weapon, whether Lu Li was alive or not. The mountain must be in the hands of Xiao and Mo Wush. Xiao and Mo flew out. The two Red Dragon patriarchs were still badly injured, but they could not afford to worry so much. They followed Xiao and Mo. Nearly 1,000 powerful warriors were sitting outside. Most of them were young warriors of the 33 races. There were also some patriarchs of smaller races and some old demons. Warriors of the 33 races had built many runes outside. That being said, those runes could only stop average warriors but not Saint Kings. The 33 races wanted to take over this place, but this was the realm of flying immortals after all. They could not fight openly. Therefore, there were more and more powerful warriors here. What happened to Lu Li had caught the attention of many powerful warriors. Lu Li had been in there for a long time. Nobody would believe that nothing had happened. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew over, and the Xiao Devil turned into a gust of wind and floated out. By the time the experts sensed it, the Xiao Devil had already flown out. Whoosh! Two elders of the Red Dragon race dashed out. They didn't stop and immediately chased after him. Then, they flew up into the sky. Oomph! An elder beside Miss Li snorted coldly and flew towards the hall that Lu Li had previously entered. If it was confirmed that Lu Li had been killed, the Desolate race would definitely pursue the matter. Whether it was the Xiao Devil or the two elders of the Scarlet Dragon race, they had to pay the price. No one. The Doyen quickly came out and shook his head at Miss Li. Miss Li immediately ordered, "Go inform the law enforcement team outside to investigate the situation. If he was killed, immediately track down the murderer." All right. After the patriarch left, a few experts from the law enforcement team quickly came in. The leader was a Desolate race expert from the law enforcement team. He led a few experts into the small hall and soon found the place where Lu Li had disappeared. Buzz. The blue rhombus symbol in the middle of the Desolate race experts' eyebrows lit up. Following that, scenes flashed in the royal family elder's eyes. Time reversal. This was a unique divine power of the Desolate race. Not only could they reverse time, they could also see into the future. In other words, they could know what had happened in the past, and they could also sense what might happen in the future. Of course, sensing the future would not last too long, nor would it be completely accurate. This divine power had a lot to do with the Desolate race's strength. The stronger the expert, the more perverse this divine power was. This divine power might not seem to be of much use, but it was actually very useful, especially in predicting the future. For example, if a Desolate race expert were to fight another expert, he could predict his opponent's attack in advance. If their strengths were about the same, he would be in an invincible position. Furthermore, he could replay the previous battle, quickly finding the opponent's weakness. That was very terrifying. Your every move could be detected by the Desolate race. Before you could even release any attack, he could predict your death. Then, he could think of a way to deal with it, or avoid it in advance. How was the battle to be fought? The rhombus symbol in the middle of the Desolate race's eyebrows actually had other divine powers, but it was not known to other races. For example, the ability to track the culprit was unique to their race. As long as there was a battle, and it did not take too long, they could sense it and track it. Xiao Devil, Ao Chi, Aou. Oomph. Moments later, a Desolate race expert snorted coldly and said, "They actually dared to make a move inside. Although they did not kill that human in the end, such actions must be punished." The other experts nodded slightly. As long as there was evidence, they had to be punished. This was the flying immortal world. If they were not punished, then anyone would dare to make a move in the future. When the news spread, the flying immortal world's hard-won reputation and order would be gone. It was very difficult to establish a reputation and order. It needed the accumulation of countless years. Destroying it was too simple. By killing a person inside, there was no way to pursue the culprit. When the news spread, the reputation and order would be destroyed. Old Ape, go back and report to the law enforcement hall. Ask them to pursue the three of them. The Desolate race expert waved his hand as an elder flew away. The rest of the experts retreated and continued patrolling the area. Elder Chi, how's the situation? Miss Li and the other desolate race experts came out and asked the same question. The desolate race expert snorted coldly and said, "The Red Dragon race's 2 elders and the Shao Devil took action. That human was taken away by the Shao Devil. We will report this matter to the law enforcement hall to pursue them." Countless experts were moved. It wasn't because of the Red Dragon race's 2 elders, nor was it because of Lu Li's capture. It was because of the Shao Devil. The Shao Devil actually appeared? These years, the Shao Devil had assassinated many experts. He had grudges with many races. Now that he appeared, he would be pursued by the law enforcement hall. This was a good opportunity for revenge. Swish, 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 swish. 60 experts had already rushed out towards the sky. Previously, they didn't know that the old demon was the Shao Devil. If they knew, they would have already taken action. The most terrifying thing about the Shao Devil wasn't his combat strength, but his concealment skills. If they could track him, many experts from large races could easily crush him. These 60 experts were from more than 10 large races. Basically, they all had grudges with the Shao Devil. They didn't chase after him to kill the Shao Devil. As long as they could track him, the Shao Devil would definitely be dead. Let's go and take a look. Miss Li was also interested. She wasn't interested in treasures. What didn't the desolate race have? This time, she came here to gain experience. Compared to treasure hunting, she was more interested in the Shao Devil. This was the strongest expert in the underground world. She wanted to see if he could escape from the law enforcement hall and so many large races. Swish! Once Miss Li left, many experts from large races followed suit. The Shao Devil's appearance, the law enforcement team, and countless large races were chasing after him. A good show was about to begin. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters mobile version. Chapter 3036. Xiao Mo had a miraculous skill, invisibility. It was not just invisibility, but complete invisibility. If he didn't move, not even a powerful Saint Emperor could see him when he passed by. This was the reason why Xiao Mo could stay alive for so many years. Otherwise, he would have been killed by that big race. After Xiao Mo flew out, he flew into the distance. The 2 Red Dragon race's patriarchs were hot on his trail. At the same time, they used a special method of communication to ask for help from powerful warriors of their race. The 2 patriarchs of the Red Dragon race were not weak, and they had some tracking skills. Xiao Mo couldn't get rid of the 2 powerful warriors for a while. Xiao Mo was strong. Half a day later, he managed to get rid of the 2 patriarchs of the Red Dragon race. He went into a small world, circled around, and came out from the other side. After one round, he was sure that he had gotten rid of the patriarchs of the Red Dragon race. Then, he ran in another direction. But 6 hours later, he realized he was being tracked again. The law enforcement team of the Celestial Realm was sent out. There were powerful trackers. Xiao Mo also has a super strong ability. He can sense when someone is following him. With this ability and invisibility, he could become the king of the underground world. After flying for 2 hours, he found a piece of empty space. His body lay on top of the stone. Then, his body gradually faded and disappeared into thin air. Not only was he invisible, he was gone as well. Not only was he not breathing, he was not even alive. It was as if there was nothing here. Impressive. Luli was in this person's interspatial artifact, so he could not use psychic power. But he could use the trace of Tao to sense that this Xiao Mo was gone. He could not sense anything. "Punk, do you want to die?" Xiao Mo suddenly said. He snorted. "If you dare to use psychic power again, I will kill you right away." Luli didn't dare to act rashly. The Xiao demon's senses were too strong, and its stealth skills were too freakish. Not even a Saint Emperor could sense it if he were passed by. Half a day later, a huge cold steel warship passed by nearby. Dozens of powerful divine senses swept over and scanned the void wasteland a few times. Then, the cold steel warship broke through the void and disappeared into the distance. Amazing! Luli didn't sense what was going on outside. That being said, he did sense the strong chi and energy of so many powerful warriors passing by. But there was no fighting going on outside. Therefore, the truth proved that the Shao demon's concealment technique was heaven-defying. Even Saint Emperors were unable to detect it. Shao Devil didn't move and continued to hide here. Half a day later, another cold, iron warship flew by. Countless spiritual senses swept over, but they didn't find Shao Devil. The warship left quickly. Shao Mo didn't move. He hid here for a full 10 days. In these 10 days, dozens of warships had flown past, as well as thousands of experts and scouts. None of the experts discovered Shao Devil. These few days, there were no more experts searching the vicinity, so Shao Devil started to move. His body actually grew bigger as horns grew out of his head. His aura grew weaker as he became a Thear-cranked, formidable martial artist. His appearance actually changed to that of a red dragon race. Amazing! Luli sensed it casually and was impressed. Shao Mo also noticed that Luli was sensing him, but he didn't say anything. Luli had been well-behaved during this time. Even when powerful warriors passed by, he didn't release his chi and energy to alert them. The four-armed race proposed that if they could bring Luli back alive, the price would be much higher. Therefore, as long as Luli didn't make trouble, the four-armed race wouldn't say anything. After he transformed into a crimson dragon, he swaggered into the distance. However, his senses were very sharp, and he would avoid any fluctuations in the vicinity in advance. 3 days later, a warship flew by. Shao Mo didn't show any fear. Instead, he just stood in the void. When the warship flew over, some psychic powers came over, but didn't pay much attention. On the surface, he seemed to be at the Arch Realm, but Shao Mo was a Saint Emperor. They were not on the same level. Therefore, those powerful warriors didn't pay much attention. Along the way, Shao Mo ran into more warships and scouts. Another 5 days later, Shao Mo changed his appearance to that of another major race. He also pretended to be a scout. 1 month. For an entire month, not only the law enforcement team of the universe of Flying Celestial, but also the Red Dragon race and other major races were searching for Shao Mo. In total, there were more than 100,000 scouts. They searched an area with a radius of billions of miles, but they couldn't find Shao Mo. Shao Mo felt he had vanished from the world. Not only could he not be found, there was no trace or clue. This made the powerful warriors of the Hall of Law Enforcement of the universe of Flying Celestial furious. The 2 founding patriarchs of the Red Dragon race had been captured. Shao Mo was the only one left. If they couldn't capture Shao Mo, the powerful warriors of the Hall of Law Enforcement of the universe of Flying Celestial would feel humiliated. How could they establish their authority in the future? Lady Li was excited. She took a warship with 2 powerful warriors of the Wild race and followed the team. She didn't want to follow Shao Mo. She was just here to enjoy the show. The more Shao Mo couldn't find Shao Mo, the more excited she was. She felt she was watching a good show. The powerful warriors of the Hall of Law Enforcement were hopping mad. The Red Dragon race and many other major races were furious. The more they were like this, the more Lady Li found it interesting. Usually, these major races were high and mighty. No one dared to provoke them. Now, someone suddenly provoked them, and they couldn't even catch him. This made Lady Li feel like she was playing hide and seek when she was young. It was very interesting. We can't wait any longer. In a huge warship, a powerful warrior of the desolate race shouted, "The longer we delay, the harder it will be to find him. We can only ask Ancestor Prestige to make a move. As long as Ancestor Prestige makes a divination, he can easily find Shao Mo. The reputation of the Flying Celestial World's Law Enforcement Hall cannot fall into our hands. Ask Ancestor Prestige?" The other warriors looked at each other. Ancestor Prestige was one of the patriarchs that guarded the Flying Celestial World. If they were to alarm him now, it would mean that they were useless. At that time, the Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall would probably give them a good scolding. Ancestor Prestige was also from the Desolate race. He had a very powerful divine power, that was divination. If Ancestor Prestige made a move, it would be very easy to divine the approximate location of Xiao Mo. It would be much easier to track him. Asking Ancestor Prestige to find Xiao Mo would make the important figures of the flying celestial world look down on them, thinking that they were useless. If they didn't invite him, and Xiao Mo really escaped, then the reputation of the flying celestial world's law enforcement hall would be ruined. If this matter was blown out of proportion, the reputation of the flying celestial world's law enforcement hall would be ruined. Forget it. Let's ask Ancestor Prestige together. A commander of the law enforcement hall shook his head and said, "Even if we get scolded, it's better than our law enforcement hall's reputation being ruined. You guys continue to track him. I will bring Old He back personally. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version." Chapter 30-37. Flying Immortal World, Sacred City. In an ancient grand hall, the commander of the law enforcement hall knelt on one knee with another desolate race, Sacred Emperor. An old man sat cross-legged in the hall with his eyes closed. His body was covered in a black robe. The commander and the desolate race elder had been kneeling there for more than 2 hours, but the old man didn't say a word. After another hour, the old man finally moved, but he didn't open his eyes. Instead, he threw out a bee shell and said, "Commander Lee, take this and go to the vicinity of Dream Garden Planet. As long as you get close to the target, the beast shell will light up. This thing can only be used for 3 months. If you can't find him in 3 months, don't come looking for me." "Thank you, Ancestor Fu." Commander Lee and the desolate race experts were overjoyed. Ancestor Fu had finally made a move. It wasn't that Ancestor Fu didn't care about them during this period of time. He was just secretly divining. Commander Lee quickly left the Grand Hall with Old He and left the flying immortal world. They boarded a battleship and flew towards Dream Garden Planet at the fastest speed possible. At the same time, he sent a message to the enforcers, and they flew towards Dream Garden Planet. The enforcers gathered a few scouts and flew towards Dream Garden Planet. The moment the enforcers made their move, the other large races also noticed it, and they all headed towards Dream Garden Planet. The enforcers intentionally or unintentionally released the news. Naturally, they wanted to use the power of the large races to surround Dream Garden Planet. Frost metal battleships whizzed over in a grandiose manner, blotting out the sky. There were also countless scouts heading towards that direction. Within half a month, more than 100,000 soldiers and scouts, as well as experts from various races, had gathered within a radius of billions of miles. Xiao Mo was indeed in the vicinity of this region. Ancestor Fu indeed had a heaven-defying divine power. Even when he flew to the immortal world, he was able to divine the approximate location of Xiao Mo. Such a divine power was indeed shocking. Xiao Mo had now become a scout for a large race. He felt that something was amiss recently. The number of scouts in the vicinity had clearly increased. Not only did the number of scouts increase, the number of battleships and experts also increased. This was clearly not right. There was definitely an expert who had tracked his whereabouts. He had no other choice. He didn't dare to continue forward. Although his disguise skills were very strong, it was still possible for him to be discovered. His eyes flashed as he took out a map. Finally, his eyes locked onto an interface. Flaming Star. This realm was quite famous, and it was an extremely dangerous realm. It wasn't occupied by any great clans, and was instead a realm shared by the 33 great clans. Because this world could not be occupied, one could not stay in it for a long time. It was filled with fire, endless fire. There were no living creatures inside, not even ferocious beasts. It was a sea of fire. Emperors wouldn't be able to last more than an hour inside. Saint Emperors could stay inside, but there were many places that ordinary Saint Emperors wouldn't dare to enter. There were many top-notch god materials here, and these god materials could only be collected by the 33 races. Moreover, they could only be collected once every 5 years. Usually, the outer perimeter of Planet Flame was sealed, and all the entrances were covered with divine runes. Usually, there would be experts from the 33 races patrolling the perimeter. If experts from other races dared to enter, they would be hunted down by the 33 races. There weren't any good places to hide nearby. Only the Flame Star was suitable for hiding. Xiao Mo believed that as long as he hid there for 8 to 10 years, it would be impossible for so many experts to search for him indefinitely. He quickly flew in that direction, keeping a low profile along the way. Moreover, when he sensed the fluctuations, he immediately dodged to avoid the chance to meet with the powerhouses. Commander Li, and old he hadn't arrived yet, and the beast shell that Ancestor Fu gave him wasn't here yet. Therefore, even if the powerhouses got close to Xiao Mo, they wouldn't be able to discover him. Xiao Mo's disguise technique was heaven-defying, otherwise he wouldn't have been discovered for so long. When Commander Li and old he arrived at Dream Garden Planet, Xiao Mo had already arrived outside of Flame Star. Every entrance here was sealed, and there were patrols from the 33 races nearby. But to Xiao Mo, it was nothing. He easily avoided the patrols, and after deciphering the divine runes on one of the entrances, he stealthily entered Flame Star and restored the divine runes on the entrance. After Xiao Mo entered Flame Star, he discovered that it was no different from the rumors. The first thing he saw was a sea of fire, and the temperature was terrifying. There were no mountains, no water, no forest, nothing at all. There was only a boundless sea of fire. The flames below were orange in color, but from afar, Xiao Mo could see green, purple, blue, black, white, etc. Swish! Xiao Mo flew down. With his strength, the orange flames didn't have any effect on him, other than feeling a little hot. Xiao Mo snuck into the orange flames. The flames were high, thousands of feet in height. It was easy to hide in the flames because psychic power couldn't reach out. Otherwise, the flames would burn him and his soul would be hurt. Xiao Mo looked around and realized that it was still not safe enough. There were so many powerful warriors out there, and they must have tracked him down. Therefore, after they searched the area, they would probably lock on a Flame Star. Xiao Mo must find a safe place and hide for a few years. When the pursuers left, he could leave. After all, he had Lu Li. He could trade with the four-armed race at any time. Xiao Mo moved forward quickly in the flames. After 5 days, he finally found a good place. It was an underground cave, underneath a patch of black flames. The black flames were horrifying. Not even Xiao Mo could stand it. Xiao Mo went to the underground cave, which was filled with flames as well. The flames came from the core of the earth. Xiao Mo followed the cave and went down for hundreds of feet. Then, he built a powerful divine rune in one of the caves to weaken the flames. He was already hundreds of feet underground. Not even the psychic power of a warrior close to the great perfection of Saint King could find him. Unless a Saint King came down to search for him, no one could find him. Xiao Mo's senses were amazing. Once a Saint King came down, he could sense it and run away. There was more than one tunnel underground. He was at the intersection of 3 underground tunnels. It was easy for him to escape. Outside, Commander Li had arrived at Dream Garden Planet as fast as he could with the beast shell given by Ancestor Fu. Then, he flew around to search. Naturally, he was faster than the battleships. He spent half a month to search the area, but didn't find Xiao Mo. He trusted Ancestor Fu completely. If Ancestor Fu said Xiao Mo was nearby, then it must be. Since he couldn't find Xiao Mo, it could only mean one thing. Xiao Mo must be hiding. He didn't go near Xiao Mo. He took out a map and began to study it. In the end, he locked onto 3 places, 2 wastelands and fiery planet Hua. He was sure that Xiao Mo must be hiding in one of the 3 places. As long as he searched with the beast shell, he would be able to find Xiao Mo. If he could find Xiao Mo would not be able to escape. As long as I find you, I will hang your head above the sacred city. Commander Li murmured hatefully. His body streaked across the sky and flew towards a wasteland. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leader's mobile version. Chapter 3038. After half a month, Commander Li finished searching the 2 wastelands. He was disappointed that he didn't find any Shao Devil in the wastelands. He looked towards Planet Flaming. At the same time, there were many experts gathered outside of Planet Flaming. Actually, many experts suspected that Shao Devil was hiding there because Planet Flaming was too easy to hide in. Planet Flaming was too big, and there were flames everywhere. It was very difficult to search for Shao Devil on Planet Flaming. Commander Lee could only rely on the beast shell that Ancestor Fu gave him. The problem was that Ancestor Fu said that the beast shell could only be used for 3 months. It took him half a month to get here from flying Immortal World and more than a month to search. Now, he could only use it for a month. If he couldn't find Shao Devil in a month, it would be very troublesome. Ancestor Fu said that if he couldn't catch Shao Devil this time, then he shouldn't look for him in the future. Commander Lee would definitely be punished. He didn't know what kind of punishment he would receive. He only knew that it would be very embarrassing, not just for him, but also for the law enforcement hall. Everyone go in and search. At the same time, send a message to all the nearby Saint Emperors. Spread a net and enter Planet Flaming. Also, surround Planet Flaming. Don't let even a bird go. After Commander Lee gave the order, he immediately entered Planet Flaming and searched with the beast shell in his hand. After spending 10 days, he had circled the entire fire world once, but the beast shell did not light up. This made Commander Lee doubt his own judgment. Ancestor Fu's ability was verified, and the treasure he gave him was definitely useful. Why couldn't he find it? Then there must be something wrong with his method and thinking. The beast shell needed to be close to it to light up. How close was that? The flames under Planet Flaming were very strong. If Shao Devil was hiding in the depths of the flames, would the beast shell not be able to detect it? Commander Lee didn't know. He could only dive into the depths of the flames to search. At the same time, he hoped that the other experts will be able to find something on Planet Flaming. He had a feeling that Shao Devil was probably on Planet Flaming because it was the best place to hide. He continued to traverse through the flames, even risking injury to enter the terrifying flames to search the area. 2 days, 10 days, 20 days. The 3-month deadline that Fu Zhu had mentioned was almost up, and the beast shell could lose its effect at any time. However, Commander Lee still hadn't found anything, not even a single clue. According to the news from various places, there were at least 40 sacred emperors that had entered this time. Even a young lady of their desolate race had entered. Commander Lee couldn't help but feel helpless that so many experts hadn't discovered anything. Buzz, as he entered the black flames, the beast shell in Commander Lee's hand lit up. At first, Commander Lee thought the beast shell was about to lose its effect, but as he advanced, the beast shell grew brighter and brighter. Found it! He stared at the beast shell for a while, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to move forward and confirm the exact location of the Shao Devil, the beast shell suddenly broke into pieces. The time was up. The beast shell had lost its effect. Shell. Commander Lee wasn't in a hurry to search inside. Instead, he flew up into the sky and summoned all the experts of the law enforcement hall through a special communication method. 3 days. In just 3 days, the experts of the law enforcement hall had arrived from all directions. There were 13 sacred emperors. Not only the law enforcement hall, but the experts of the other major races were also here. Lady Li and 2 sacred emperors were also here. If I'm not mistaken, he should be down there. Commander Lee's eyes flickered. He ordered the experts of the law enforcement hall. All of you go down later. When you find the target, keep him busy. We want him alive. Yes. More than a dozen sacred emperors charged down like sharp swords. They were scattered around the black flames. Soon, they found a few underground passageways and charged into them. Shao Devil, who was hundreds of thousands of feet underground, sensed it immediately. After all, there were so many experts around. He didn't panic, nor was he in a hurry to escape. Xiao, the fire immunity divine runes he had set up dissipated. He released a wisp of his aura and dashed towards the passageways, leaving behind some faint traces in each passageway. He didn't leave through the passageways. Instead, he returned to the place where he had set up the fire immunity divine runes. With a light leap, he stuck to the ceiling of the cave like a bat. Buzzing, his body shone faintly, and then he disappeared from where he was. Just like how he attached himself to the void waste rock back then, he disappeared without a trace, without any aura. Xiao. A moment later, two silhouettes arrived. One of the old men looked around and exclaimed, "Commander Li, there are traces here. There are divine runes here." Xiao. Many experts flew out from the passageways. They scanned the surroundings and found many traces. There are still some traces left. He was here just now. He just ran away. This is a fire immunity divine rune. It was activated just now, and it was deactivated just now. Xiao Devil was here just now. He just ran away. Go after him. The dozen sacred emperors had some tricks up their sleeves. They easily found the traces left by Xiao Devil. A group of experts searched around and made sure that Xiao Devil wasn't hiding nearby. Then, they split into several groups and went after the Xiao Devil. Soon, the news spread out. The experts from the major races who were searching outside set up traps and surrounded the area. After setting up an inescapable net, it's impossible for the Xiao Devil to escape in any direction without making a sound. All the experts were excited. Did they finally find the old demon? So many experts searched for so long. They even heard that the law enforcement hall asked Ancestor Fu to tell the future. The strongest expert in the underground world, the Xiao Devil that was said to be untraceable, was he finally going to be caught and killed by them? Isn't it too early to be happy? Outside the area of black flames, Miss Li's white armor lit up and blocked the powerful flames. She saw the experts from the major races were glowing. She said to the old man from the desolate race beside her, "It has been 5 minutes. Commander Li and the other experts are still chasing after Xiao Devil, right? They haven't started fighting even after 5 minutes? Doesn't this mean that they found Xiao Devil's tracks, but haven't found him yet? They are so fast. If they haven't found him in 5 minutes, they might never find him." Miss Li's analysis makes sense. The old man nodded slightly. He pondered for a moment and said, "But Xiao Devil won't be able to escape this time. I just saw Bu Qianfan of the Bu race use his race's secret treasure to set up the Heaven and Earth Mystic Shadow Array. This area has been sealed. It's almost impossible for Xiao Devil to escape without a trace. As long as he can't escape, it's only a matter of time before he is found." And yes, Miss Li's eyes lit up. She nodded and said, "It's indeed a matter of time before he is found. Now, let's see how long he can last. Hee. I am very curious about this Xiao Devil's true identity and race." Chapter 3039. Xiao Mo also knew that he was in big trouble. He didn't know why the enemies were so sure that he was here, but with so many experts searching underground, how could there be no problems? He didn't dare to move and couldn't move. But if he didn't move, he would be found sooner or later. It was a very simple logic. The enemies had destroyed this entire cave and sent out carpet-style attacks. Where could he hide? Once he was exposed, he would be targeted by the experts, and it would be hard for him to escape. He muttered for a moment and decided to wait for another half a day to see if there would be less martial artists searching. If there were less, he would escape. If there were too many, he had to take the risk and go underground. The higher he went, the more dangerous it would be. He had to follow the tunnel all the way to the core. The flames in the core might be terrifying, but it was better than waiting for death here. Half a day had passed, and there were still a lot of experts coming to this tunnel. Almost every 15 minutes, there would be an expert passing by below him. Go! Xiao Mo knew that he couldn't wait any longer. Otherwise, he would really die here. He didn't dare to show himself, and could only slowly move along the top of the tunnel. His perception was extremely insane. Once an expert got close, he would stop immediately and only continue to move forward after the expert had left. Boom! Boom! After advancing for 1 hour, an explosion came from the tunnel above. Those experts had indeed started to attack the tunnel from above. This way, they wouldn't destroy the tunnel. Swish! Xiao Mo started to increase his speed. The experts in the tunnels above all started to attack. The carpet-style attacks were just to force him to show himself. After spending 1 hour, Xiao Mo rushed to the bottom. This was the Earth's core sea, and it was filled with black flames. Xiaomo couldn't take it anymore. Fortunately, he had a cardinal artifact which withstood the terrifying flames and didn't burn him. Otherwise, he would leave behind a scent which would be easily tracked. After arriving at the Earth's core sea, Xiaomo didn't feel safe. Since those experts had attacked all the way down, the Earth's core sea would definitely do the same. There was no place for him to hide. Xiaomo shuttled through the Earth's core sea and quickly found a spring, or rather, a fire eye. All the flames in the Earth's core sea came from here. However, the temperature of this fire eye was much higher. If he followed the fire eye, would there be even more terrifying flames below? Xiaomo wasn't sure about this. Boom, boom, boom. The explosions above were getting louder and louder. Xiaomo gritted his teeth and charged towards the fire eye. He had nowhere to run now. The only thing he could do was to seek survival in the face of death. He dove into the fire eye and flew downwards. The fire eye's passageway was very deep, and he actually flew for nearly 100,000 zhong. At this point, the temperature was already frighteningly high. His skin and muscles were already starting to burn, and he couldn't help but smell burnt. Damn it! Xiaomo was a bit angry. Once the smell spread out, if there were experts here, they would be able to sense it easily. At that time, even more experts would come. What should we do? Xiao Devil's eyes darted around. This was probably the most dangerous situation he had ever been in. Right now, he no longer wished to complete the mission, he only wished to survive. That's right, the human brat. Xiao Devil's eyes turned, and an idea popped up in his head. He could lure the tiger away from the mountain and let that human kid lure the experts away while he escapes in another direction. No, soon, Xiao Devil shook his head. Luli was only at the Emperor realm. He would be burned to death as soon as he came out. Even if he didn't, how far could Luli go given his abilities? How long could he lure the enemies away? By then, Xiao Devil's plan would backfire. Let's go. Xiao Devil made up his mind and wandered around. It was not an ocean down there, but several passageways. All of them were filled with black flames, and the temperature was much higher than before. His skin was burning all the time, and there was a burnt smell coming from time to time. If there were powerful warriors coming down here, there would be nowhere for him to run. He wasn't afraid of those powerful warriors, but he was afraid of being followed. The realm of Flying Celestial was full of powerful warriors. There were powerful warriors from more than a dozen major races that were chasing after him. Once he was surrounded, those powerful warriors would be alerted sooner or later, even if they couldn't kill him. He was not invincible. How could he survive? He walked along the passageway for an hour. The passageway was still extending underground. Where would it lead to in the end? Another 2 hours later, Xiao Devil suddenly sensed a surge of horrifying energy. Instead of being afraid, Xiao Devil was overjoyed. Powerful creatures of fire attribute were born in the underground flames. He could tell that they were no weaker than Saint Emperors. More importantly, there were quite a number of them, taking advantage of the chaos to escape. This was what Xiao Devil was best at. He could lure the underground creatures up and let them attack the powerful warriors outside. Then, he could take advantage of the chaos to escape. He consumed some elixirs and rested for a moment. Then, he concealed his energy and went down. At the same time, he began to sense the powerful creatures of fire attribute. It is the legendary imps of fire. After a moment, Xiao Devil was surprised. Imps of fire were one of the 10 most ferocious creatures of the ancient times. They were strange spirits born from powerful flames. Once upon a time, imps of fire went on a rampage in more than a dozen universes, resulting in the death of hundreds of millions of warriors. In the end, the imps were suppressed by a powerful warrior. How come there were imps of fire on the fire planet? Didn't the 33 races send any powerful warriors down to investigate? Regular imps of fire were not intelligent, but imp kings were. Once they went on a rampage, they could cause harm. Could it be that the imps of fire are from the fire planet? The 33 races have always known about the existence of imps of fire, But they have already eliminated them? Xiao Devil deduced. He was a little surprised because he wasn't sure if there was an Imp King down there. If there was, he would definitely die. If it was just a regular imp, he could make good use of it because imps of fire weren't intelligent. I'll risk it. Xiao Devil gritted his teeth. He had no other choice but to cause the imps to go on a rampage and restrain the powerful warriors of Fire Planet. Only then would he have a chance to escape. He went down stealthily and soon he arrived at an underground fire pond. The imps of fire were in the fire pond. The flames here had turned purple and the temperature was a few times higher. Boom, 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 boom. Xiao Devil made his move. He wasn't a weakling and was considered powerful among the Saint Emperors. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to assassinate the Saint Emperors of the big races. The moment he made his move, the fire pond below exploded. Some of the imps of fire were directly dispersed by him. It was unknown if they were killed or not. Huge waves were set off in the fire pond. Some of the rocks in the fire pond exploded and the underground was in chaos. Woo woo woo. Sharp and strange cries sounded, following which balls of purplish-green flames emerged from the fire pond. They condensed into the shape of monsters and chased after Xiao Devil crazily. Go! Xiao Devil quickly turned into a sharp sword and rushed up with his fastest speed. It didn't matter if there was an Imp King. If he was surrounded by the imps of fire, he would still die. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leader's Mobile Version. Chapter 3040. Commander Li did give an order, which was to let all the experts attack indiscriminately to force the Xiao Devil out. He was sure that the Xiao Devil was hiding somewhere and had a technique that could hide from all the experts. No matter what technique it was, the Xiao Devil wouldn't disappear for no reason. The indiscriminate attacks would be able to force it out. There was no one living in the fire world. In any case, it didn't matter if some places were destroyed. Even if this place was blasted into smithereens, it didn't matter. All the experts listened to Commander Li's order, including the Crimson Dragon race. Although Commander Li captured Ao Yu and Ao Qi, it didn't affect their cooperation. Commander Li wanted to capture the Xiao Devil. The Crimson Dragon race wanted to take over the Saint Mountain. There was no conflict between them. The Crimson Dragon race also wanted to kill the Xiao Devil. They had the same goal. Boom, 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 boom. Mountains crumbled. The underground passageway collapsed. The area within 1,000,000 miles was under the attack of the experts. But there was a huge formation set up by one of the experts. The Xiao Devil wouldn't be able to escape from this area. It would be forced out sooner or later. All the nearby underground passageways were filled with Saint Emperors. They would destroy the passageways bit by bit, leaving no place for the Xiao Devil to hide. Boom, boom, boom. In one of the passageways, 5 Saint Emperors were destroying the passageway as they flew downwards. They were already very close to the Sea of Fire. At this moment, they heard a strange cry, countless strange cries, and a terrifying aura. Fire imps. One of the experts sensed it, and his expression changed drastically. He was an expert from the 33 races. He naturally knew about the existence of the fire imps. Xiao Devil guessed it right. Every once in a while, the experts from the 33 races would come to eliminate a batch of fire imps. If a fire imp king was born, they would kill it immediately. They knew how powerful the fire imps were. That was why this expert didn't hesitate and shouted, "Run to the surface. Don't let the fire imps get close to us, otherwise we will all die." Swish, swish, swish. The other Saint Emperors also heard of the famous fire imps. They took out their weapons, destroyed the ground, and rushed out. Below them, groups of fire imps swarmed out and chased after the group of experts. All right. In the underground passageway, Xiao Mo hid in a corner. He didn't give off any aura, but he successfully lured the fire imp out. Then, he turned invisible immediately. The fire imps couldn't sense his aura, so they could only lock onto the strong ones and attack. So many fire imps, very good. The Xiao Devil was overjoyed when he saw that there was an endless stream of fire imps charging forward. There were at least thousands of them. If these thousands of fire imps were to charge up, the powerful beings up there might not be able to handle them. By then, those powerful beings would definitely be chased around in all directions. That would give him a chance to escape. Wait a little longer. Shao Devil is prepared to wait for an hour. After an hour, it will be the most chaotic time outside, and also the best time for him to escape. Swish, swish, swish. The ground outside exploded as those experts flew out. Commander Lee was right above, and when he saw the expressions of those experts, his expression changed drastically. He asked in a deep voice, "What happened?" "The fire imps are on the rampage." An expert roared and waved his hand. "Everyone retreat. We won't be able to hold them off. There's so many fire imps. Shao Devil is really down there." Killing intent surged in Commander Lee's eyes. "The fire imps are on the rampage. It must be Shao Devil's doing. What should we do?" Commander Lee pondered. Shao Devil will definitely follow them and escape. If they retreat now, it will be harder to track them down. If they don't retreat now, the fire imps will rush out, and some of them will die. Fire imps? Miss retreat. High up in the sky, an expert beside Miss Lee heard the conversation below and immediately shouted with a nervous expression on his face. Miss Lee's eyes were filled with excitement. She waved her hand and said, "What are you afraid of? Commander Lee and the others haven't retreated yet. Even if the fire imps rush out, they will be the ones holding them off. Moreover, aren't you two elders beside me? How can these fire imps hurt me? Let's wait and see." "Miss," the old man smiled bitterly and said, "Who knows if there are fire imp kings among the fire imps down there? If there are, all of them will die. So, Miss, you must leave now. Didn't we just wipe them out 100 years ago?" Miss Lee said disapprovingly, "There was no fire imp king 100 years ago. It can't be a fire imp king in 1,000,000 years, right? Moreover, I have the treasure given to me by Ancestor Fu. Even if there's a fire imp king, it can't kill me. All right, if you keep protecting me like this, when can I become a true expert? Ancestor Fu asked you to protect me, not to spy on me." The two old men didn't know what to say. Miss Lee was of high status, and they didn't dare to kidnap her. They could only watch the situation below. Woo woo woo, soon, more and more fire imps rushed out. Commander Lee didn't retreat in the end. He wanted to see if he could suppress these fire imps. He had a strong feeling that Shao Devil must be down there, and these fire imps must be drawn out by Shao Devil. Therefore, if they could suppress these fire imps, Shao Devil would have nowhere to hide and could be easily found and killed. Kill all the fire imps. Shao Devil is nearby." Commander Lee shouted and led the way towards the fire imps. The rest of the law enforcement team's formidable martial artists looked at each other and followed helplessly. Some of the great race's formidable martial artists nearby had already retreated to the sky, while others gritted their teeth and charged forward as well. Firstly, they had some confidence in their own battle strength. Secondly, they didn't want Shao Devil to escape. If not, they would become a laughingstock. The result was tragic. Although Commander Lee's battle strength was very strong, he was able to kill groups of fire imps and turn them into nothingness. However, many other formidable martial artists didn't have as strong a battle strength as him and were injured in an instant. One of the Saint Emperors got close to a fire imp, and the fire imp entered his body, incinerating him into ashes. Fire imps were one of the 10 most ferocious creatures in the world born from the fire source. Fire imps were said to be able to incinerate all formidable martial artists. As long as a fire imp entered a martial artist's body, that martial artist wouldn't be far from death. 15 minutes. Commander Lee and the group of formidable martial artists, including the formidable martial artists underground, all combined only managed to hold on for 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, more than half of the formidable martial artists were severely injured. 2 Saint Emperors had been incinerated into ashes. No one wanted to die. Although they really wanted to kill Shao Devil and didn't want to give up on this great opportunity, they didn't want to die. If they continued to stay here, most of the formidable martial artists would be trapped here forever. Shao Devil didn't turn around and kill them slowly, but he only had one life. Retreat. Commander Lee roared in anger. The experts present immediately felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders as they all flew up into the sky. Young Mistress Lee had no choice but to retreat. Her eyes widened as she stared at the sea of fire below and murmured, "Shao Devil, Good move. I wonder if you can really escape with your life. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters mobile version. Chapter 3041. Commander Lee led all the formidable martial artists out of the fire world, but immediately formed an encirclement outside. The entrances and exits were all guarded by Saint Emperors. Commander Lee led 3 Saint Emperors to patrol the surroundings. As long as Xiao Mo dared to come out and was discovered, he would definitely die. At the same time, Xiao Mo asked all the scouts to patrol the surroundings to prevent Xiao Mo from taking advantage of the situation. Swish! Xiao Mo came out, but he was very low-key. He had been invisible the entire time. There were many fire imps nearby, but none of them could discover him. He was not in a hurry to go out. Instead, he wandered around the fire world for half a day. After making sure that there were no formidable martial artists in hiding, he heaved a sigh of relief. What a pity! He realized that the fire imps were also wandering around as if they were looking for a target. However, none of them flew up into the sky, and none of them flew out of the fire world. Without the Fire Imp King's command, these fire imps had very low intelligence and would not chase him out of the fire world. If the fire imps didn't go out, the group of formidable martial artists would naturally be waiting outside. Hence, all the exits would probably be sealed. If he dared to go out, he would instantly be targeted and surrounded. Finally, he would die without a burial place. Some fire imps had already started to return to the Earth's core sea. Xiao Mo estimated that in at most one more day, all the fire imps would return underground. At that time, Commander Lee and the others would come in again. Perhaps even more formidable martial artists will be mobilized to search for him. He had become a fish trapped in a net. He couldn't get out and didn't dare to. However, if he didn't get out, he would be found sooner or later. I have to think of a way out. Xiao Mo's eyes twinkled. He concealed himself and flew up into the sky. He sensed a passageway carefully. Soon, his expression changed. He sensed a powerful aura outside. There were Saint Emperors guarding the passageway. He had no choice but to fly towards the other passageways. After flying for half a day, Xiao Mo found 7 passageways. However, they were all guarded by Saint Emperors. He couldn't get out. The fire world was huge, but there were very few passageways. Perhaps it was because of the high temperature all year round. There were very few passageways that led out. Every passageway was guarded by a Saint Emperor. No matter how strong his concealment art was, he couldn't possibly fly past a Saint Emperor without being detected. A Saint Emperor's senses were very perverse. If he didn't move, he could still avoid the Saint Emperor's senses. If he moved, there would be spatial fluctuations. Most of the fire imps below had already gone underground. Xiao Mo was getting anxious. He pondered for a while and decided to take a risk. He didn't go down. He stayed near the golden halo, near an entrance. He hid in midair and sensed the situation at the entrance. Time passed bit by bit. The experts outside didn't come in as quickly as Xiao Mo guessed. The passageway entrance was very quiet, and the fire world below was also very quiet. Artists won the Earth Sect fire. During his half a month, not a single expert or scout from the outside had come in. The entrance had always been guarded by a Saint Emperor. On the 16th day, there was finally some movement in the passageway. A Saint Emperor had entered, and his divine will immediately swept out in all directions. Saints experts as they were, saints as Xiao Mo were Xiao. And on. By Xiao Mos. The god Mo, Saint Tianzian, the time Mo, Saint Xiao, he as he did not to. Xiao. As. According to logic, no matter how a martial expert tried to conceal himself, his physical body was real. There was a difference between divine perception scanning in the air and scanning in an object. However, Xiao Mo's concealment art was just that perverse. The Saint Emperor's sun was so strong that he couldn't detect anything. What's more, the Saint Emperor's senses were useless. It was as if he had evaporated from the world. This was a Saint Emperor from the Red Dragon race. He used his sun and flew down. There were many Saint Emperors flying down from the other passageways. They were all Saint Emperors. There were many more Saint Emperors than before. They should be the Saint Emperors from the big races. Xiao Mo had been staring at this Saint Emperor, memorizing the appearance of this Saint Emperor. After the Saint Emperor flew down, Xiao Mo flew towards the other passageways. He was also invisible when he flew and didn't have any aura. However, his appearance was changing rapidly. Halfway through the passageway, he actually turned into the appearance of a Saint Emperor from the Red Dragon race. His figure was also revealed. There were no more Saint Emperors outside the passageway. However, there were a few scouts standing guard. In the distance, there were a few winter metal warships roaming around. They were all Saint Emperors. If a scout sounded the alarm, they would immediately rush over. There are divine patterns. When Xiao Mo was about to come out of the passageway, he realized there were divine patterns set up at the entrance, sealing it. He revealed an arrogant expression. He forcefully broke the divine patterns and rushed out. There were 3 Six Tribulation experts outside. When they saw Xiao Mo, they were startled. One of the scouts asked curiously, "Lord Ao Gu, why did you come out again?" "I found that old devil. Hurry up and seal the entrance." Xiao Mo left a sentence and flew towards the warships like a sharp sword. It seemed like he was going to inform the experts over there. "You found him?" The 3 territorial lords were overjoyed. They immediately set up divine patterns to seal the entrance. What they didn't see was that after Xiao Mo flew for a short distance, he actually disappeared. Xiao Mo had been secretly checking on the 3 territorial lords. After he was sure that the 3 territorial lords weren't paying attention to him, he turned invisible. One of the territorial lords made some arrangements and casually looked in the direction that Xiao Mo flew to. He was slightly astonished when he realized that Xiao Mo had disappeared. However, he didn't pay too much attention because there was a warship far away. He thought that Xiao Mo had entered the warship. After waiting for 5 minutes, that warship streaked across the sky and flew over. The 3 territorial lords quickly stood up respectfully. They thought that all the experts on the warship were going to enter the fire world. However, the warship streaked across the sky and flew far away. It didn't stop near them. That territorial lord blinked his eyes in confusion. He then used his divine senses to scan the warship. However, he didn't see the experts from the Red Dragon race that Xiao Mo had transformed into. Something isn't right. That territorial lord frowned and thought for a moment. He informed the other 2 territorial lords and quickly chased after the warship. The warship was patrolling nearby. Therefore, its speed wasn't very fast. That territorial lord caught up to it. However, it took him another 5 minutes. "What's the matter?" A cold voice sounded. The warship stopped. The territorial lord stood in midair and bowed. "Lords, it seems like Lord Ao Gu boarded your warship just now. I would like to ask, is Lord Ao Gu on the ship?" "What Ao Gu? Didn't he enter the fire world?" That cold voice sounded and said in confusion, "Ao Gu didn't come to our warship. Nobody came." "Oh no." The territorial lord's expression changed drastically. He exclaimed, "Not good, it's Xiao Mo. It must be Xiao Mo who disguised himself as Lord Ao Gu. Xiao Mo escaped what? Bastard." One by one, the experts flew out. An old man grabbed the territorial lord and asked him about the situation just now. He didn't miss any details. "Idiot." After asking a few questions, the old man slapped the territorial lord away and quickly rushed into the fire world. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, countless experts swarmed out of the fire world. Young Lady Li also rushed out. Her beautiful eyes were filled with excitement. She said to the old man beside her, "He can even escape like this? Xiao Mo is indeed Xiao Mo. However, he shouldn't have escaped far. We still have a chance to find him. P.S. I caught a cold. I stayed up for half a night and couldn't finish writing. I'll write it slowly in the next 2 days. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version." Chapter 3042. Many battleships whooshed on and sealed off an area with a radius of hundreds of millions of miles as fast as they could. Commander Li was furious. It was not easy to find Xiao Mo, but he was trapped in the world of fire. In order to capture Xiao Mo, Commander Li even hinted several major races to send more senior patriarchs over. They had just arrived, and they hadn't even begun to search for Xiao Mo when Xiao Mo had escaped. Commander Li felt humiliated. He had been slapped in the face by Xiao Mo in front of so many major races. Commander Li was not willing to accept this. If he couldn't capture Xiao Mo, he would be too ashamed to go back to the Hall of Law Enforcement. Therefore, he mobilized all the powerful warriors to seal off the nearby area. He would not stop until Xiao Mo was captured. He would not stop until he captured Xiao Mo, even if he had to search for hundreds or thousands of years. Impressive, impressive. Inside Xiao Mo's interspatial artifact, Lu Li exclaimed. He had been paying attention to Xiao Mo's every move, including when Xiao Mo lured the fiery imps underground and when he came out. Lu Li was trying to sense his surroundings. Xiao Mo didn't stop him because Lu Li knew what to do and didn't release any signals. Xiao Mo's sword intent was hanging in Lu Li's mind. Xiao Mo could kill Lu Li at any time. Xiao Mo believed that Lu Li was a smart man and wouldn't do something stupid. What was more, there were many powerful warriors of the Red Dragon race out there. So what if Lu Li told other powerful warriors to kill him? In the end, Lu Li would still fall into the hands of the Red Dragon race and be killed. What Lu Li admired the most about Xiao Mo was this moment. After Xiao Mo escaped from the world of fire, Lu Li had thought that he would run away as fast as he could. Little did he know that Xiao Mo was hiding on a piece of barren rock 30,000 miles away. Lu Li's palms were sweating as he watched the battleships fly by and the scouts fly by. Many psychic powers were scanning. The most dangerous place was the safest. After Xiao Mo hid, Lu Li understood his intention. Xiao Mo wanted to go back to the world of fire. All the powerful warriors thought that Xiao Mo would run away at once, but he went back to the world of fire. In this way, Commander Li and the others could not find him no matter how hard they searched. As they had expected, half an hour later, there were no more experts or scouts in the vicinity. Xiao Devil made his move and flew towards Planet Flame. The experts and scouts on Planet Flame had retreated in such a hurry that the divine rune seal at the entrance had not been reinstalled. Xiao Devil easily floated in, then chose to dive down from where the fire imp came from. After returning to the vicinity of the Earth's core sea, Xiao Mo set up a fire avoidance divine rune and began to cultivate in seclusion. Lu Li began to cultivate as well. He knew that he would be safe for the time being. For at least a couple of months, there would be no powerful warriors or scouts from the Blazing World. This place was absolutely safe, just as Lu Li had expected. Commander Li led a group of experts and scouts, divided into countless small teams, frantically searching in all directions. They didn't stop for even a moment, searching all over the world. Unfortunately, they couldn't even find a shadow of the Xiao demon, not to mention finding any clues or traces. Half a year. After searching for half a year, dozens of Saint Emperors, more than 100 Thearchs, and more than 100,000 soldiers and scouts searched the area again and again. They had almost dug 3 feet into the ground, but they had not found anything. Commander Li's face was clouded recently. He was going crazy on the inside, but he had to suppress it on the surface. He was a powerful warrior of the wild race, and he was famous in the Infinite Star region. He was the leader of this operation. Powerful warriors of the other races were under his command. Therefore, to the outside world, he was the leader of this operation. He had mobilized so many powerful warriors and scouts, but he had found nothing. This operation had even attracted the attention of many major races. After all, the Xiao demon's name was well known. This news would have spread across the entire Infinite region, and Commander Li would become a stepping stone for Xiao Mo's fame. He would also become a laughingstock to countless people. All the wild race were proud, not to mention that Commander Li was a powerful warrior of the wild race. He could not accept such an ending. But what else could he do? Apart from leading a group of powerful warriors and scouts to search again and again, there was nothing else he could do. He was too ashamed to go back, too ashamed to beg Ancestor Fu. He was losing his mind, as if he was punching water. If the Shao demon fought him openly and defeated him, he would have nothing to say. He could even accept the humiliation. Time passed bit by bit. Commander Li had no intention of giving up. The other powerful warriors of the other races had also given up. They felt that they could not find the Shao demon. If this continued, it would only be a waste of time. It would only make them a bigger joke. Swish! Commander Li's battleship welcomed 3 guests. When Commander Li and company looked over, they were all slightly shocked. It was a beautiful lady and 2 Saint Emperors. They were all powerful warriors of the wild race. Lady Li. Commander Li was slightly stunned. Lady Li had been watching the show for a long time. She had always acted like a spectator. She had never greeted him or listened to his orders. Now, she was taking the initiative to come over. What was she trying to do? Regardless, Commander Li still went out to welcome them. It was not because of Lady Li, but because of the powerful warriors of Lady Li's bloodline. Lady Li's status was very respectable. Her bloodline was very strong. The strongest one was Ancestor Fu. There were more than 10 Saint Emperors in her bloodline. Lady Li had reached the Saint Emperor realm at such a young age. She was destined to become a peerless martial artist in the future. She was one of the strongest in the younger generation of the wild race. Commander Li was a few generations older than Lady Li. Although Lady Li's status was respectable, Commander Li did not greet her. He was already giving her a lot of face by coming out to welcome her. Lady Li was very sensible. She bowed and said, "Greetings, Grandfather Li. Greetings, lords." Lady Li is too polite. The few Saint Emperors returned the greeting. Although Lady Li was a junior and had been wandering around the area, they naturally had to show her enough respect. However, since she was here, he naturally had to show her enough respect. Otherwise, it would not be a good thing if the news spread to Ancestor Fu. Commander Li welcomed Lady Li into the battleship and asked, "Little Lady Li, what can you teach me this time?" Lady Li did not come here for no reason. She must have something to tell him. Commander Li was not in a good mood. He could not be bothered with pleasantries. He went straight to the point. Miss Li smiled. Her appearance was stunning. She said, "How could I dare to teach Grandpa Li and the other lords? I was actually ordered to pass on a message. Ancestor Fu sent me a message through space. He wanted me to pass it on to Grandfather Li and lords." Ancestor? Ancestor Fu? Commander Li was stunned. He quickly stood up and said respectfully, "Ancestor Fu, what instructions does he have?" Lady Li also stood up. She cupped her hands towards the flying immortal world and said, Ancestor Fu's original words, "The most unexpected place is usually the most likely. If you can't take it down this time, go back. Don't stay outside and embarrass yourself." The last sentence made Commander Li and the rest blush. However, their eyes lit up. Ancestor Fu would not pass on a message for no reason. There must be a deeper meaning behind his words. Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Masters Mobile Version. Chapter 3043. The most unexpected place was usually the most likely place. This sentence was very meaningful. Commander Li and the group of experts fell silent. After thinking for a while, they still could not figure it out. Where is the most unexpected place? They had thought of all the places in the vicinity and searched them. Was there any place that they had not searched? Was there any place that they had not thought of? Commander Li took out his map and checked the surrounding terrain carefully. However, he did not find any place that they had not searched before. Here, a beautiful hand stretched out and pointed to a spot on the map. From what I see, Ancestor Fu should be referring to this place. This place is a place that we had not thought of. Flame World. The group of experts glanced at each other and were astonished. Then their eyes lit up. Commander Li slammed his hand on the table and shouted, "The Shao Devil is definitely on the Flame Fire Planet. We all forgot about this. We didn't even search for the Flame Fire Planet after that. We didn't expect this. Someone, go and gather all the experts. We are returning to the Flame Fire Planet. Send the order for all the experts to gather at the Flame Fire Planet." Swish! The battleship pierced through the sky. Young Mistress Li did not leave, but followed the group. Young Mistress Li was the descendant of Ancestor Fu. She not only trusted Ancestor Fu, but also had a kind of fanatical worship for him. Commander Li was the same. He had a kind of blind trust in Ancestor Fu. The beast shell that Ancestor Fu gave him was indeed useful and helped him find Xiao Mo. Unfortunately, Commander Li himself did not use it and allowed Xiao Mo to escape. After Commander Li passed the message, the group of experts thought that they had found Xiao Mo. They all rushed towards the flame fire planet as fast as they could. They were already quite a distance away from the flame fire planet. It took them several days to get close. Swish! Just as they got close to the flame fire planet, Commander Li saw a figure suddenly coming out from one of the passageways. Commander Li scanned with his divine senses and found that it was a Red Dragon Race's Cranked expert. When the Red Dragon Race's Cranked expert saw the battleship, he was also stunned. He thought for a moment and cupped his hands towards the battleship before flying away. Something is wrong. Young Mistress Li's eyes narrowed as she exclaimed, "There is something wrong with that Red Dragon Race's Cranked expert." Swish! Just as Miss Li finished her words, the Crimson Dragon Race's monarch rank body suddenly disappeared into thin air. Commander Li and the others were shocked and shouted, "Xiao Devil!" Swish, swish, swish. The 6 Saint Emperors immediately made their move and rushed towards that direction. All of the Saint Emperors also made their move. Terrifying attacks were unleashed one after another, shattering the sky in that direction. They could no longer sense the Xiao Devil. They could only attack indiscriminately. Speaking of which, Xiao Devil was really unlucky. He cultivated for half a year, and he felt that it was about time to leave the fire world. He was afraid that Commander Li and the others would return and attack, but he didn't expect to bump into Commander Li and the others as soon as he came out. He was too careless and did not conceal himself. He had checked the entrance of the tunnel and found that there were no scouts guarding outside, so he had only changed his appearance. Puffed in the void, the Xiao Devil was forcefully jolted out. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and there were a few injuries on his body. Just now, Commander Li and the others had released extremely powerful divine arts, causing the sky to shatter. He was injured by the power of space. Xiao! Behind him, Commander Li and the other 6 Saint Emperors rushed over, their divine senses locked onto him. The Xiao Devil sighed to himself. He knew that if he didn't think of a way out, he would die for sure. He was already injured, and it would be hard for him to escape from Commander Li and the others. What's more, there were so many Saint Emperors nearby who would gather here soon. Oh no! Lu Li sensed the situation of the Xiao Devil. He was worried as well. The Red Dragon race had sent out many powerful warriors this time. If he were to fall into the hands of the Red Dragon race, he would die as well. Once the Xiao Devil died, he would not be able to run away either. Buzzing, the Xiao Devil suddenly burst into black flames. Then he transformed into a ray of black light and flew towards the northwest at a terrifying speed. Lu Li was dumbfounded, and so was Commander Li and the others behind him. What? Lady Li and the others caught up as well. They saw the Xiao Devil disappearing into the distance in a blur of black light. They felt that the Xiao Devil had turned into space turbulence and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "I think he is as fast as a great ancestor," Lady Li said to the Saint Emperor next to her. Then she exclaimed, "There's a reason why the Xiao Devil can become the most powerful warrior in the underground world. How fast is he? This is a forbidden skill," the Saint Emperor said with a cold smile. "There's a price to pay for using such a forbidden skill. What's more, he will be severely injured after using it. He is already injured. There's the smell of blood in the air. There's a good chance that we can track him down. Go after him." Commander Li and the others understood after a moment of pause. If the Xiao Devil could always be that fast, why would he need to hide? He could just run away. Unless Fu Zhu and the others came out, who else could catch up with him? The Xiao Devil must have used a forbidden skill which could not last long. He could only run away for a short distance. Just now, the Xiao Devil was injured. After using the forbidden skill, it would be easier to track him down. It would be easy to leave some traces. The easiest way was to leave traces of blood. Commander Lee was very sensitive to blood traces. He flew over and sensed for a while. Then, he led the others and flew away as fast as they could. If they flew at full speed, their speed would be much faster than the battleship. At the same time, Commander Lee sent a message to the formidable martial artists from the various great races to intercept them. The air was filled with the faint smell of blood. It was too easy to track them. Commander Lee's eyes lit up. This was such a good opportunity. If they still could not catch up to the Shao Devil, they would not be able to live in this world anymore. They might as well commit suicide. Many formidable martial artists were already gathering in this direction. After receiving Commander Lee's message, they immediately turned and flew towards the Shao Devil's direction. They were prepared to intercept them. Commander Lee's guess was right. The Shao Devil was indeed using a forbidden skill. After using the forbidden skill, the Shao Devil's essence Qi was greatly injured. If it was during normal times, it would not matter. He would immediately find a place to recuperate after getting rid of his enemies. This time, he could not do it. There were Saint Emperors and countless scouts coming from all directions. Now that he was injured, it was hard to ensure that he would not be detected. He flew and plundered for an hour. He found a piece of trash and hid himself. After recuperating for a while, his eyes revealed a sliver of pain. He sighed and said, "It seems like I will not be able to escape this time." His previous injuries were already very serious, and forcibly releasing a forbidden technique while he was injured made his situation even worse. He had no confidence that he could escape from Commander Lee's pursuit. Human punk. After the time for one incense stick to burn, the Shao Devil suddenly sent a message to Lu Li. "Do you want to live?" Lu Li was not delighted to hear this. As far as he could tell, the Shao Devil wanted him to lure the enemies to his death. The Shao Devil wanted Lu Li to distract the enemies and then leave. Lu Li thought about it and said, "Of course. Nobody wants to die." "Good." The Shao Devil put on a bitter smile and said, "As long as you promise me one thing, not only will I spare your life, I will teach you everything I have learned in my life." Please remember this book's domain name. Third Sect Leaders Mobile Version. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.